Welcome back here to the Stars Championship Series live from Millville, New Jersey on the third round of the Stars Championship Series season. It is Thunder and Lightning. My name is Xander Clemens here in the booth with Taylor Burris. We're going to get set to get underway with 206 Stars for their pre-final, but it's been a wild day of racing. Alexander Searle, one of our co-commentators and currently on reporter duty, has a bit of an update for us. Alex, what do you got for us here to recap where we got to now?
Yeah, thank you. Good morning. Pretty foggy New Jersey Motorsport Park. Obviously, recap a little bit from yesterday. We got through most of the first heats, or all the first heats, and most of the second heats, but unfortunately, lightning and weather kind of prematurely ended our day. This morning, Stars Championship Series made a quick audible and cut all the warm-ups, and so we're heading straight into the pre-finals, which is going to add a pretty degree of difficulty for the drivers here, as they have no idea how their kart is going to handle on a pretty damp racetrack. That being said, though, we have a lot of exciting pre-final and final races coming up shortly. So back to you, Xander.
Thanks, Alex. So, like he said, no warm-up. The drivers going in practically blind here for all intents and purposes. Again, my name's Xander Clemens in the booth. Taylor Burris joining me alongside. Taylor, let's take them through our starting lineup here for 206 Stars this pre-final.
We certainly will, and of course, with the Thunder and Lightning we've been having all weekend, we're going to kick it off here with, of course, the 206 Stars. Hunter Perry on the front row with Harbor Das in second place. Matthew Darlson will be in third with Ryan Kasner fourth. Derek Sokol will be in the fifth position with Chris Rupp sixth, and riding shotgun is Jack Sakuna.
So here we go, getting set to go green. They'll form up on the long straightaway. That'll lead to that quick double right-hand bend before they get to this start-finish line right here. We've seen a lot of drivers drop a tire off the left-hand side. You can see the track conditions looking a little bit damp. The surface a little bit darker than where we were yesterday afternoon. Cloud cover this morning, some fog this morning, but we are underway with the first pre-final of round number 3, and Hunter Perry takes your field down into turns 1 and 2. Harbor Das on the outside, no grip at all for the MPG Motorsports Will Power Kart. He'll slip all the way down to the 6th or 5th position, and it's Hunter Perry and Matthew Darlson that get away early with the lead.
It's a great drive for Hunter Perry and Darlson. Remember, Darlson was having a good run yesterday during his heat race number 1 and heat race 2. He's looking to see if he can capitalize on maybe coming out with a pre-final win before we get to the finals this afternoon, as they work through the tight hairpin in turn number 6 as they come through the curbing, bouncing over the curbing a little bit as they get themselves ready to rocket down over to the 180 switchbacks, nose to tail, line astern, as your top 4 is breaking away from the field.
Yeah, nice little breakaway for them in the first time through the back sector again. And look at that, Hunter Perry off the racetrack, and Doss is off as well. Both of them running way wide there in that sector, and I believe Perry tried to check up to anticipate the lower level of grip, and Matthew Darlison and him kind of came together. Either way, Darlison escapes with the lead, and they're all shaken up now. Ryan Kasner has slotted into the 3rd spot. It is all over the place for the opening lap of the 206 Stars drivers, as they will come to put one lap down, and the timer has started on the 8-minute clock plus 2 laps. Actually a little bit longer here for the pre-finals in total.
It's about 12 minutes for the pre-finals here as they come across the line. How about Jack Sakuna up in P number 2? Remember yesterday during the pre-final for heat race number 2, he did not even get to take the green flag because of some issues that he had. He's now back inside the top 3 for the first time all weekend long. He's going to try to see if he can try to come out with a pre-final win as he looks to the inside of Darlson.
Yeah, little look there, wasn't able to go by, but everyone just kind of tiptoeing around on the opening few circuits, trying to see if they can find some grip to hang on here at New Jersey. It's a 4-driver breakaway. Perry was able to rebound nicely, and he is locked on to behind Ryan Kasner. Chris Rupp, along with Harbor Das and Derek Sokol, are a little ways back from this leading group of 4, and you can see Darlison seems pretty comfortable, pulled away a little bit from Jack Sakuna here. Now nearly 4 car lengths as they go into the right-left switchback hairpins. That'll kind of stack them up behind Sakuna with no way to get by him. And if they push or if they get by quickly, one of the two has to happen to hang on to Matthew Darlison, because he was so strong in that back section. 2 laps will be completed this time by. Still plenty of time left, but already a gap beginning to form for the VLR driver. As you can see, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th hooked up, headed on the long straightaway towards turn number 1, trying to make up some ground of what they've lost to the race leader in the 163.
Big move right here by Kasner. He'll look to the inside of Sakuna with a little help from the 135 of Hunter Perry. They'll go around the outside and they enter into turn number 1. Move Kasner up to P2 now as he sets his sights. Here comes Perry to the inside of Sakuna as they move up to P3, and I'm pretty sure Darlson is loving this as he is able to still pull away by about 0.6 of a second.
So a great start for Jack Zucchina quickly slides him back into that 4th position. He went all the way from the back of the grid up there into 2nd. Kastner gets a little sideways on the red 171 hairpin, but as a whole, we're clean and green, headed on the straightaway now down.
Great battling here as they work their way down towards the 180 switchbacks. Drivers working their way through. It's Darlson still holding strong over Kastner and Perry. Zucchina is trying to hold tight to the back bumper of Ryan Kastner in that 3rd position as they work over to the 2nd of the switchbacks and work their way towards the back half of the course. But Perry now closing into the back bumper of Kastner. Of course, Kastner, a wild day of action yesterday for him. He was so close to getting a couple of good, strong finishes, even going a little bit airborne during one of his class races.
Yeah, it was overall a good day for pace and a decent battle in the KA Master class. He's got a good battle coming here in 206 stars. They have arrived on the scene to Matthew Darlison. Big time run for Ryan Kastner and Hunter Perry. They are back locked on to the leader. That didn't take too long once they dealt with Jack Zucchina to close up there in the toe on the run to turn number 1. Now they'll stay in line over to turn number 3. And this might be the part of the race where we see them ride just a little bit and wait before they get too aggressive, having caught the leader. The more they stay single file, the bigger that gap will become. Back to 4th place in Zucchina and further back to Harbor Doss, Chris Rupp, and Derek Sokol, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Looks like Hunter Perry's trying to build a little momentum up, try to see taking a peek to the outside as they came out of the turn 6 hairpin now as they work over to the double switchbacks here, the 180. We're going to follow your top 3 down into the first of them as they enter into the braking zone. Of course, Darlson is holding strong. Perry trying to find the opening he needs to get to the inside of Kastner, but Kastner showing really good pace here in these opening laps.
Yeah, they're all settled in at this point. Again, I don't think we'll see too much shuffling till we get towards the later stages. We're still only 5 minutes a lap so far of the 12 minutes plus 2 laps for the pre-final for 206 stars. They'll hop over the curb through the chicane and come on down the run to the start-finish line. Kastner just right behind Matt Darlison as he pushes him towards turn number 1. Another lap in the books, make it 4 complete so far in 206 stars. Matt Darlison has just about led every second of the way. Kastner through turn 2, a little bit slower of an exit for him than the race leader, and that's going to make Hunter Perry want to pull the trigger. He'll look inside and get clear at the exit of turn 3, so move Hunter Perry up into that 2nd spot. Kastner back down to 3rd.
That's where we've seen a lot of the great passing action all weekend long, is coming out of turn number 1, setting up for P2, crossing over through turn 3, and that's where we'll see that crossover happening here all day long for a lot of the competitors here as they work their way out of turn number 6, heading down the straightaway. Everyone's separated by about a cart length right now as Perry tries to gain that momentum back to the bumper of Darlson to get back on the lead lap and see if they could try to pull away from Hunter Perry.
He'll close right to the tail with a great little extra bit of run, so I think Hunter Perry, with at least good top-end speed on the gear ratio that he's got on that Fernando Alonso OTK kart here today, got right to the tail of Darlison at the end of the backstretch. He's glued on him here as we get set for the run down the front straightaway. Kastner dropping back a little ways, 3 or 4 car lengths, and when they hook up like this, that gap will get even bigger. So Ryan Kastner losing some touch to the leaders as Matt Darlison, Hunter Perry hooked up and headed down to turn number 1.
As they work their way down into turn number 1 now, Darlson and Perry start to break away a little bit from, of course, Ryan Kastner in that 3rd position, trying to see what he can do. Perry still setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:18.243. He just set it last time by as they work their way through turns 3 and 4 and 5 as they work their way over to the hairpin.
Yeah, a little bit of a bigger gap. You can see Ryan Kastner, I think he may have had a little more grip dialed into his Maranello chassis than the other two. He was bouncing through the exit of turn number 2, seemed a little more bound up than free, and that unfortunately will hurt him, especially in the 206 class where there's just not a lot of horsepower to make up for it. You've got to be as free as possible without sliding the car to keep the momentum up, keep the rear axle nice and light and spinning, and that was not the case out of that slow turn 1-2 complex. And in some of these other sections of the racetrack here, he seems to be struggling off the bottom end, whereas Hunter Perry seems well under control and a little bit quicker than everybody at the moment. The lap times obviously show it, and Matt Darlison looks close thanks to the pushing that Hunter Perry has been doing, but I think if Hunter Perry could get clear of Darlison, he might be able to even break away. That gap now over a second back to Ryan Kastner, this time by 8 minutes complete, 4 minutes plus 2 laps left to go here in the pre-final. We're just past the halfway marker.
Halfway to go now, and it's trying to be a two-horse race currently between your top two of Darlison and Perry. As we're looking through the field, Sakuna fallen way off the pace, but he's still your biggest mover of the race, moving up 3 spots since starting this race in 7th position right now. This is the battle that we're still going to be watching, though. It's the battle for the race lead between, of course, Darlison and Perry. Perry just keeping pace, making sure he can maybe build up a little momentum to set something up for the end of this race when we get to that 12-minute mark, plus 2 laps here today at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We do have to report that one driver is off the racetrack. That is Derek Sokol, who is off the race. He will finish P7 after today's action.
So here they go on into the right-left chicane. Matt Darlison, Hunter Perry. Now, they were last time by nearly a second and a half faster than Ryan Castor. That gap is going to get built up pretty quickly. Hunter Perry is really the one in command here. He's the one that can decide if he thinks he's quick enough that he could break away from Darlison, or if he will be stuck behind him and once he gets in front of the pack will look the same, where Darlison won't be able to lose track of him. So through the chicane, there you go. You see Ryan Castor just barely into view at this point here across the line. A 1:18.19 for the 2 leaders. Castor a 1:19.64, another second and a half lost for Ryan Castor. Hunter Perry, Matt Darlison into turn number 3 with just 2.5 minutes plus 2 laps to go. Still no change, no battle up front. Hunter Perry playing a smart race, push him away, pass him at the very end.
I want to take a look at the battle for P4. That seems to be a good little battle between Jack Sakuna and Harbor Das, the 106 and the 149. They've gotten together and now starting to work their way up through the field right now. Of course, Sakuna is your biggest mover of the race. Harbor Das is one of your biggest losers of the race, with losing the most positions after his off-road incident on the opening lap here. As we watch these two, they're going to line up nose to tail. They can maybe try to work together to make up some ground on Ryan Kasner, but they have about 7 seconds to make it 8 seconds possibly. So if they're able to work together and try to catch Kasner, we could have a 3-car battle for that last step of the podium.
Could be a pretty good fight for them for sure. Through the chicane here this time, it'll be 8 laps complete. They should get at least 3 more, possibly 4 more. It'll be right on the limit of whether or not we get another one in. I think it should be enough to make this 4 to go. 10 minutes or 30 seconds elapsed at the line at about a 1 minute and 20-second pace. So they'd come in with 10 seconds under the gun before they'd have to get the 2 to go signal. Here's another battle a little bit further back down the order. Jack Sukina has been reeled in by Harbor Das. That's for 4th and 5th. So while the leaders continue to work their way through turn number 4 and over to turn number 5, Harbor Das, who is the driver that started on the outside of the front row, slipped all the way back to the end of the grid, has worked his way at least back up to the driver for 4th. They're lapping quicker than Ryan Kasner, but they are substantially slower substantially farther back than where their pace needs to be to catch the man in 3rd. So there goes Kasner on by. Here's your leaders going into the back sector. We'll see 3 laps to go this time around. Darlison has no daylight out back to Hunter Perry. Perry even closer that time through the back section, I think, than where he's been the last couple laps. Maybe pushing the limit a little bit more to see where his pace is better or worse than Matt Darlison, so he can time that pass. You obviously want to make a move right before you get to a section of the racetrack where you're the one with the advantage, so you can build a little bit of a gap and not have to worry about immediately getting passed back or having to defend your position. Let's see, across the line, 15 seconds plus 2 laps to go. Will they get the 2 to go signal? They will not. 3 laps to go here across the line at turn number 1.
This is going to get exciting. Will Hunter Perry try to do a slingshot maneuver on Matthew Darlison here in this closing 2 laps, or will he stay tucked up to try to just set up for the finals here? We'll find out later today as they work their way through and come across the line. They're going to still stick nose to tail. Here's a pass for position right here. As you see on camera 1, that, of course, is the battle between Sakuna and Harbor Das. Das will complete the pass as they come through over to turn 2 and 3. And Harbor Das looking to pick up 1 extra position here as he gets himself set up for the final couple of laps.
So Doss up to 4th. That's at least a decent recovery from 2nd. It'll put him again on the outside of row number 2 for the main, pending any penalties or post-race inspection. Again, we don't know if anything will really change all too much. It's been a relatively tame pre-final. The opening 2 laps definitely a little bit sketchy as everyone was getting used to the grip levels. We mentioned at the start of this broadcast, fog overtook the racetrack here, and there was no morning warm-up sessions to kind of clean the racetrack off from all the morning mildew and everything else that'll happen overnight. We haven't been on the racetrack since about 3:30 p.m. yesterday afternoon. And this first session here for the 206 Stars being the ones that have to clean all the gunk off the surface. 2 laps to go. Darlison and Perry have built up their margin to nearly 8 seconds back to Ryan Castor. It is a massive, massive gap back to the man in third. Now, Jack Zucchina, Harbor Doss, having swapped positions, may not have gained as much time on him for that kind of side story we have. They're still about 6 seconds back from the man in third, so I don't think they'll get there. They're only about a second a lap quicker than Castor aboard the Marinella. But for Hunter Perry and Matt Darlison, this will be the spotlight. They will get all of it through to the red 171 hairpin and down the back straightaway. A lap and a half to go. There's Castor. Here's the fight for fourth coming into view there to the red 171 corner. That's how far back they are. And for Harbor Doss and Jack Zucchina, no change that time through the hairpin. Back to the leaders here. Matt Darlison, Hunter Perry, white flag coming this time by. Have yet to see Hunter Perry even show his hand, pick a nose out to the inside and try a move for the lead. Matt Darlison has led every single lap recorded on the timing monitor after getting the lead in that section right there on lap number 1 with Perry having an off and through the grass. So for Hunter Perry, good recovery obviously, but now when does he want to go? Darlison went a little low through the kink this time, runs a little wide. That'll give Perry an over-under opportunity. Does he get clear? He does. New leader, Hunter Perry through turn number 2.
A beautifully timed here, becomes a crossover though. Darlison to the inside as they work down over to turn 2 and 3. He'll then complete the pass back to the race lead. Goes Darlison. Crossover now to the outside. Tries to over-under now as they work back into turns 3 and 4 as they approach over to the hairpin.
So up the hill, the red 171 hairpin. Darlison covers the bottom. Perry goes high. This one being such a banked corner and a very forgiving exit, you could go pretty narrow into it, not lose all too much time. Here's your update on the battle for fourth there for that second. Doss still in that spot. Down the backstretch, side by side for the lead. Around the outside, Hunter Perry trying to get clear. He will get the nose ahead into the back section, force Darlison to get onto the brakes. And Perry now with the door open. Darlison sends it down the inside. Back and forth we go. Perry trying to cross him up. Can't do it into that left. Tries again. Can't get there. Matt Darlison, great bit of defensive driving and a good heads-up move into that right-handed hairpin to get underneath Hunter Perry. It'll be the run to the line at this point. He's got to defend just enough to not break his own momentum, but keep Perry back. Perry's got a big run, though, around the outside of the kink. He's almost clear. Door to door for the lead across the line. Hunter Perry will get the win in 206 Stars' pre-final.
What a great last lap pass. That's what we love about kart racing. You always can expect some great side-by-side action to the finish. Very respectable driving between the two drivers of Hunter Perry and Matthew Darlison. That just makes me wonder how the finals are going to work now, and this is going to get exciting to see these two battle it out here later today.
And it looks like there must have been something that went down for Jack Zucchina and Harbor Doss. As Zucchina put one over on Doss there. You can see Doss coming across the line a good ways back. So that wraps up 206 Stars. We are rocking and rolling with pre-finals. Mini is up next here. Lucas Palacio looks to keep the perfect weekend alive as a good run all the way through from qualifying. Unfortunately, their lightning shortened opening or second heat race has shaken the grid up a little bit. Isaac Malcutt and the rest of the field, along with Travis Pettit, are all ready to take the fight to the TKG Kart Republic driver. We'll be right back with more Stars Championship action from New Jersey here after this. Welcome back here to New Jersey, and the cloud cover has remained, but the carts are on the circuit for the Mini Swifts. Isaac Malkut, Lucas Palacio have the field together as we get set to go green. Once we do, we'll also be sending it over. We've got a few of our top drivers in the 206 Stars ready to talk with Alexander Searle. A nice and slow start here for the Mini drivers. They slowly make their way onto the front stretch here. Malkut on the inside for turn 2, but the outside for turn number 1. Palacio on the left side in the bright white and green Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic. And the rest of the pack is there. A little bit of a stall, it looks like, for one driver behind Palacio. It's kind of got the pack a little bit out of sorts, but we're ready. We're green, and it's a big-time jump for Isaac Malkut. Wow! Lucas Palacio gets shuffled all the way down. He'll get even elbowed a little bit more so on the outside of turn number 2, and Malkut gets the lead. Travis Pettit gets into second, and they have all been shaken up here on the opening circuit.
What a absolute jump by Isaac Malkut to take over the race lead as we see Travis Pettit now move up into P2. The 129 machine trying to work his way through as we see, I believe that's the 161 maybe who moved up into P3 or the 151?
You would think so. At least you would think it'd be Roman McCurdy there on the 131. So Palacio was set to start on the second, in second. So it was Malkut on the inside control in the start. He had them slow and perfectly game that start where a lot of the field got bogged down. And his main competition in Lucas Palacio this weekend out of contention at the moment. So through the back sector here, Travis Pettit happy to push. Rowan McCurdy trying to hang on. We'll keep an eye on them as well as an eye on Palacio's comeback drive through the field. Meanwhile, Alexander Searle has caught up with our winner from 206 Stars and Hunter Perry. Let's send it on over to Alex.
Yeah, thank you, Xander. I'm here with Hunter. 206 Stars. Hunter,
I had a little scruffle in the start, but kept my head down, kept pushing. I knew I had the pace in the cart. Eventually, me and first at the time pushed ahead, got clear third, and it was just a two-cart battle the rest of the way.
with the weather looming in the area from yesterday, how different was the track this morning from yesterday?
Conditions were about 0.3 off of our fast times yesterday, but it was pretty grippy out there. We were still able to fight all the way up the track and stuff. It was real fun.
Yeah, and you say the track hasn't changed much. So, I mean, that being said, what changes, if anything, do you expect to have to make to your go-kart for the final?
For me, none. I feel pretty confident in the kart still. Maybe drop some air pressures, but a huge shout out to Macron Motorsports, my dad and my grandpa for all helping me out this weekend. It's been a great experience.
Awesome. Hunter Perry, everybody, your 206 Stars pre-final race winner. Back to you, Xander.
Thanks, Alex. With that, we go back to the mini division on the circuit. Isaac Malkut and Travis Pettit have dropped Roman McCurdy from the grouping. You can see Lucas Palacio still not yet into frame. He crossed the line at the end of the first lap back in the 6th position behind Shane Stein. He's gotten up to 5th, and he's working on Nathan Holy for the 4th spot as the leaders still stay single file. But Lucas Palacio back for P4 on the bumper, trying to get up by Holy. He gets through there, end of your screen, into 4th. Now starting to work his way up to 3rd as Holy holds that, or Roman McCurdy holds that spot, P3. Palacio looking inside, red 171 corner, through. So Lucas Palacio, 2.5 seconds back, seems to have been the fastest driver so far this weekend. Can he make up a 2.5 second margin to these two right here?
Textbook pass right there by Palacio to come out, to move up into P3 right now as we watch on for the battles of your top two right now between Malkut and Pettit. As, of course, Pettit is in the blue, Malkut in the black cart as they work their way back through the back half of the course, approaching towards the final few corners here. Malkut pulling away by about a cart length over Pettit as they work their way through. That Drafto is going to kick into play here as they work through the long straightaway, approaching the two final corners here. He's back on the back bumper as they come out of the final corner, working their way through. Great drive indeed, and as they come across the line, we'll see what the gap is between those two. And, of course, Lucas Palacio. Here comes Palacio out of the final corner. He's already separated himself from the rest of the field. 4 seconds is the gap between the two.
Yeah, big time margin for them. So the lap time, granted, Palacio had to make some passes, received a little mistake there out of Nathan Holy. Palacio making some moves, was about a second off. So with the massive amount of draft benefit that you get at such a long racetrack here, that is New Jersey Motorsports Park, even if Malkut and Pettit were a little bit slower than Palacio, what they'll make up doing exactly what they're doing right now, pushing away, might be able to keep Palacio back in the third spot and unable to make up any ground. Palacio should be safe to move himself up the order a little bit, and a third place starting spot for that main might be a little bit safer than moving up into second where he was. Obviously, we saw how rough it was for him off the jump. Now let's go back to where the group is behind him that he's just worked his way through. You can see the midfield having a pretty good little scrap right now. About 6 carts altogether, going back from Nathan Holy and Roman McCurdy in 4th and 5th, all the way down to William Roberts in the comp cart and Max Weiland aboard the Magic cart, back to 8th and 9th. So there go your 2 leaders on by. About another 4 seconds. There goes Palacio. Another second back to find McCurdy and Nathan Holy. And then this group here, led by Thomas Chrisman in the Full Tilt Racing Tony Kart.
Chrisman having a good run right now. He has not gained nor lose any position, along with, of course, Shane Stern in 7th position. Max Whalen has moved up to P8 right now as we watch that group of cars work their way through the turn 2, 3, 4, and 5 complex as they head over to the hairpin over at turn number 6. Great little battle to watch these 6 carts work their way through. Up to the hairpin they go. Great drive as they continue to work down the hill and continue to stay nose to tail here. We're starting to break off into groups of 3 between those 6 cars.
Isaac Malkett has led every lap of the way. Travis Pettit happily just pushing him along here in the solo cart. The 129 locked in behind him. Here comes that group once again, led by Nathan Holy. He's passed Rowan McCurdy and has now taken over command of the grouping. Thomas Chrisman onto the bumper of McCurdy now, and that one pass for that 4th position has kind of tied them a little bit tighter together, this grouping of 6 here in the mid-pack. As they come onto the front straightaway, it'll be 5 laps complete. Malkett and Pettit clock in at a 112.4. Palacio a 113 flat. So not enough pace to run down the race leaders as they head for turn number 3.
As they work their way over towards turn number 3, Pettit and really just biding his time, not really wanting to make any moves at this moment here in the early stages. We're about to cross over into the halfway point of today's race, plus the additional 2 laps as they work their way over into turn number 6. Down the hill they'll go. Pettit just trying to bide his time, not really working with, of course, Malkett to pull away from the rest of the field. Keep that gap at about 5 seconds between them and Palacio, who is working his way by his lonesome, as Nathan Holy is about 3 seconds further back from Palacio.
Yeah, a little ways further away here for Nathan Holy now as they go through the right and left switchback hairpins. We'll continue to keep an eye on this group here. Look at this. Thomas Chrisman's gotten by McCurdy. That's given Holy a little more gap. And then on top of that, everyone else is stacked up. Shane Stein. Oh, problems for Thomas Chrisman. Thomas Chrisman, hand in the air. I'd have to imagine popping the curb. He might have popped the rear chain off. So Thomas Chrisman, I spoke with him and his father, caught them in the hotel lobby yesterday afternoon. And unfortunately, a dismal qualifying, got him down in 8th, drove up to 5th in that first heat race, drove up to 5th again in the second heat. And now we'll have to go all the way to the tail end of the field as this mid group drops down to 4 carts now, with Nathan Holy 2 seconds out front thanks to all the shuffling and having to back off for Chrisman. And now William Roberts trying to take advantage of McCurdy. He'll go by into turn number 3. So Roberts picks up another one that moves him up 3 spots from his starting position of 9th. Shane Stern there in 7th, still kind of just watching along. And then Max Weiland tailing Weiland was able to get by Stern as well. So Max Weiland is 7th. Stern back to 8th. Caleb Lantern now moves into 9th. Charlie Myers and Jordan Polchlopik inherit 10th and 11th as Thomas Chrisman's day that was looking to be pretty solid, unfortunately drops all the way down to the 12th spot here with 8 minutes complete.
A tough break for Chrisman. I'm pretty sure they're going to be looking at it, make sure they don't have any issues with that chain when they get ready for the finals later on here today as the field works their way through. Keeping an eye on your top 2 right now between, of course, Malkett and Travis Pettit as they work their way back across the start-finish line here. It is going to be the halfway point. 4 minutes left to go on the clock, plus the additional 2 laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park here as the field works their way across the line. Keeping an eye on that 4-car battle with Holy, Roberts, McCurdy, Whalen. Throw in Stern in the mix as those 4 competitors work their way across heading into turn 1. As we're now joined, of course, by Alexander Sorrell, who joins me up here in the booth at this moment. Alex, a lot of great racing, but a tough break, of course, for Thomas Chrisman. Talk a little bit about that. Of course, the importance of making sure that you keep that chain on the cart is very critical throughout the race as we watch this pass for position here as the 120 machine of Max Whalen gets around Roman McCurdy.
Yeah, obviously, I mean,
tough break for Chrisman there. He had actually a really good race going. He was up to 4th, I believe, at that moment, but the chain, we'll have to talk to them at some point today just to figure out what happened. Either maybe he got bumped or just a loose gear, but obviously not what you want to see for the driver who had made up a few spots in the race.
Certainly is. He will join William Kim, who did not start this pre-final event here as the field works their way through. 2.5 minutes left to go on the clock, plus the additional 2 laps. So as they work their way across the start-finish line, they should maybe get 3 to 4 laps left to go in this race as they work out through turn number 1 and 2. McCullough still holds strong, setting the fastest lap of the race with a 1:12.172 as he still maintains the race lead as the field works their way across the line. And it's Roberts and Whalen who are your biggest movers, gaining 3 spots apiece.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, obviously, the 2 up front are pushing right now, but Lucas Palacio has been the quickest guy all weekend, just doesn't really have the pace right now. Obviously, without the draft, it's really tough. He seems to be about 0.6 a lap slower than the leaders. But Malkowitt and Pettit are just working together. No moves are being made right now up front. They know what it takes to get away from Palacio. They know that if they race, Palacio has the pace to catch right up to them.
They certainly do, and we're going to see what happens here in these closing stages here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. The field working their way through, of course, the back half of the course as they are now getting a little bit of separation between the two. Pettit, though, will try to gain that ground back as they work out of the final few corners. Gets the draft he needs. He'll get locked on to the back bumper of Isaac Malkett. Through the final corners they will go, and as they come across the line now, it is going to be 1 minute left, just about 1:10 left on the clock for your competitors, plus the additional 2 laps. So we should be seeing them take the 2 to go signal when they come back around.
Yeah, and the front 2 right now are showing tremendous pace. I mean, they're only lapping 1/10 slower than their fastest laps of the race right now. They are both on rails. It seems to me right now that Isaac Malkowitt has a little bit more pace than Travis Pettit, but obviously with the toe, it's keeping him in play.
It certainly is as they come through the hairpin at turn number 6. Pettit looks to the inside briefly, thinks better of it, stays tucked up behind the 175 of Isaac Malkett in that black cart as they work their way down through the back straightaway here, lined and nose to tail as they head down into the 2 180 switchbacks there. Here they come down to the inside. He'll show the nose a little bit, stays tucked up behind as they work through the first 180. Now approaching the second one, they're going to turn it back around. About a cart length separates the 2 as they work their way through. Flagman is already approaching the start finish with the 2 lap signals ready to go in hand for your top 2 as they come down towards the back straightaway. Here's this battle, 4-car battle here, and it looks like they're closing in just a little bit. Nathan Holy still leading the charge as here comes your race leaders out of the 2 final corners. 2 laps to go as the Popsicle 6 are in the air from the flagman.
Yeah, looking back a little bit, I don't know if Nathan Holy had a bit of an issue there on that lap. He was about a second off the guys behind him. That being said, though, we have a great battle for 4th now with Nathan Holy, Roberts, Whalen, and McCurdy all on a train for the battle for 4th position.
Working their way through as they come across the line. They are quite a ways back from Lucas Palacio here. We'll see what the gap is. William Roberts will lead that group of cars now in the 4th position. Nathan Holy, then it's going to be Max Whalen. Roman McCurdy not having the run he needs, showing an 8th position with Shane Stern in the 8th position as well. Charlie Myers still quite a ways back. He has, though, gained 3 spots in 9th position as we watch on the battle for the race lead here. And Travis Pettit is now back up front here with 2 laps to go. Malkett has dropped back to 2nd as they work their way through the 2. Park. The action's going to kick into overdrive here. Will Malkett and Pettit still battle to the finish? He works his way through as they approach over to turn number 6. They're now going to go side by side. Will we see the crossover? A little contact between the 2 competitors as they'll still stay side by side. Now Malkett will duck back behind Travis Pettit for the race in 2nd as they work their way down in towards the back straightaway, heading over to the 180 switchback. To the inside, Malkett shows his nose but can't quite get to the work. He will now stay locked to the back bumper of Travis Pettit. Lap traffic up ahead for your race leaders. Pettit looks to the inside. Malkett holds on. He takes over the race lead as they work through the 2nd of the 180 switchbacks. Now working through the final few corners. Here comes Pettit trying to charge back to the inside. Malkett will maintain the race lead here through the final few corners. Will Pettit utilize the draft to close the gap as they work through those final few corners? Here they come down the short chute, approaching the final corner. It is going to be Travis Pettit and Malkett. Malkett will hold on as they come out of the final corner. Checkered flag in the air for Isaac Malkett, who makes a last lap pass to retake the race lead and win the pre-final pre-finals here. Travis Pettit in second. Here comes Lucas Palacio in third to round out your podium. And now we got to wait a while for that battle for P4 as they work their way through. Let's go take a look at it. Here it comes across the line. And as they do so, it will be Nathan Holy, Max Whalen, William Roberts, Roman McCurdy, Shane Stern, who will finish your top 8, waiting for Charlie Myers, Caleb Lantern, and Jordan Polchlepek, who will round out the field. And, of course, Chris Min and William Kinn will not finish the race here. Exciting battle between Malkett and Pettit here for that race win here in the, of course, the mini class here today at New Jersey Motorsports Park there, Alex.
Yeah, wow, what a exciting last lap there. I mean, I thought Travis Pettit was going to be able to hold on. He was putting on a masterclass of defense there, but Malkwood, I think, just caught him off guard in a position where I don't see a lot of passes happen in that corner, but he made it work. Looking a little further on the order, Lucas Palacio on the last lap put in his quickest lap of the race, so obviously his kart might be pretty good for the feature race. Nathan Holy able to hold on a pretty hungry pack of like 3 karts behind him to finish 4th. Max Whalen rounds out your top 5. What a race there in the Mini Stars class.
With that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but don't worry, we will be right back. You are watching the Stars, New Jersey, Thunder and Lightning, part of the Stars Championship Series live here on Kart Chasers.
Looking for a top-level team environment that fits your budget? Look no further than AMAX Racing. We cater to customers around the country who want driver coaching, tuning assistance, hospitality, track support, and a family race environment. Our race schedule is support available at all levels, from club and regional series across the Midwest to top-tier events such as the TKNA Grand Nationals, the U.S. Pro Kart Series, and the Scooter Pro Tour. Whatever level you may be at or want to get to, AMAX Racing can get you there.
As the Western importer of the Praga and Formula K chassis brands, Leading Edge Motorsports is a high-performance kart shop and race team with a simple mission: teach others the joy of high-performance driving, supply our customers with the highest quality products and services, and most of all, win races. With our remarkable racing inventory, expert services, and top-ranked national-level team to back it up, we'll help to get your new kart racing package up and running fast. From arrive and drive service to kart preparation and driver coaching to the parts you need to get you back on the racetrack, Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer.
Hannah Greenemeyer is going to score the final win of the U.S. Pro Kart Series. Hayden Jones is a national race winner. Nate Cicero wins.
Four-time champion Ryan Norberg winning Super Nationals 24.
Winner, winner, winner.
Are you ready to join one of North America's winningest driver development programs? Rollison Performance Group offers fully customizable packages that are meant to take your game to the next level. For more information, head to rollisonperformancegroup.com.
Welcome back to Kart Chasers coverage here from New Jersey Motorsports Park for the Stars New Jersey Thunder and Lightning event for round number 3. And taking a look at some of the amazing exotic cars that are going around the bigger track here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. See one of the Ferraris working their way through. And, of course, a Lamborghini. So a little bit of an Italian flair we have this morning here so far to kick things off for the Stars Championship Series round number 3, thanks to the great work of our camera people out there on the circuit. Unfortunately, some of them are getting a little bit bitten up by some of the bugs out there, so we hope they can survive the rest of today's action. But now it is time to give you your starting grid for the KA Masters for their pre-finals. It is going to be John Bonanno, who will be your pole sitter with Ryan Kasner. Brian Donnelly will be in third with Patrick Healy fourth. Jared Tracy in fifth position. Gordon Cameron in sixth. Thomas Gressner will be in seventh with Galo Barros in the eighth position. Chris Stevens in ninth. Kevin Simonellik in the 10th position. Anthony Stifler and Derek Sokol riding shotgun in P12. Very exciting race so far, Alex, as we get things ready to go for this KA Masters. Exciting battle between Bonanno and Kasner for the past couple of days.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm excited for this race coming up here. I mean, I know obviously in the recent heat race, John Bonanno and Ryan Kasner got together just a little bit, but they shook hands and they're good, so should be a good battle here for the pre-final.
Well, we do have to go over to the pit road where we have our very own Xander Clements caught up with some of the great drivers so far for today's action.
We do have Connor Ferris here. Connor, a little bit of an issue, obviously, getting off the grid for heat number 1, but are you able to get into spots and everything? We were talking right before this, couldn't really figure out the issue, but no warm-up today. Are you feeling at least confident it'll fire off?
Be good. We started it. Just started. It should start. Hopefully it does.
Well, hopefully it should be a good one here, Connor. Track conditions look like they're decent there this morning. Any idea of what it should look like?
Not really. We made a few changes. Hope it works. We'll see.
All right, Connor Ferris ready to go. We'll send it back to you guys here for the KA Master start.
Thank you very much, Xander. As we watch the action, you saw a little fist bump action between your front row drivers, giving a little bit of good luck action because as we saw the heat races yesterday, Bonanno and Kasner had a little bit of high flying action at one point towards the end of it. But here we go. Lights are ready to glow down as they slow them down to get ready for the start. And it's lights out, and away we go once again here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's the pre-finals for the KA Masters, and Kasner already jumping up to the race lead, but Bonanno looking to get himself set up for the inside lane. He'll cross over to the bottom of the racetrack as they work through turn number 2. Kasner slides back into P2 as we see right behind is going to be Danelli, who will be right there behind in third. Patrick Healy, your top 4, breaking away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, Kasner actually got a really good start on the outside there, but he must have just outbraked himself, and it gave Bonanno a really good run exiting the corner and got him right back into turn 2.
Bonanno now, as they work their way out of turn number 6, heading over towards the 180 switchbacks. We see Bonanno working his way through. Now pulls out to about a 3 to 4 kart length advantage over Ryan Kasner for position as they work their way through. There you see the 292 of Danelli and Patrick Healy right there, also inside the top 4. Rounding out your top 5 currently, Jared Tracy, as they work their way through towards the back half of the course and working their way through. Now it's a little bit more separation between Kasner and Bonanno as they continue to lead the charge here at New Jersey.
Yeah, I wonder if John Bonanno just has a bit of a higher tire pressure right now because his kart seems to be hooked up a little bit better than Kasner, but Kasner obviously in the tow, able to stay right with him heading to turn 1 here.
First lap complete and no changes, but the biggest mover, Derek Sokol, picking up 5 spots here as he is currently in 7th position as the field works their way through. It's Bonanno, Kasner, Danelli, Healy, and Tracy, your top 5.
Yeah, we have a bit of a battle here heading, I think we're racing for about P5 here. So this is a really good battle exiting turn 2. Obviously, I believe that is maybe Chris Stevens in the red car losing out a little bit there.
Chris Stevens falling back just a little bit to outside the top 10 as they come out of turn number 6, working their way down. There you see Bonanno and Kasner leading the charge now. And how about Danelli closing to the back bumper of Kasner? He's got some help from Patrick Healy in that 4th position as they work to the first of 2 180 switchbacks, heading over to the second one as they work their way through. Danelli really having a strong run in this opening couple of laps here as he's trying to see if he can close that gap to Kasner. And maybe the 3 of them can find a way to go catch up to Bonanno and work together to get around him.
Yeah, I was surprised yesterday that Danelli and Healy didn't have more to say in the race, but clearly today they feel much more comfortable in this pre-final on this pretty foggy morning. But now we have Healy and Danelli working together. They're going to be able to catch Kasner pretty quick as, boom, Healy and Danelli run the fastest laps of the race at a 1:10.201. They are flying right now.
How about this? Identical lap times for 3rd and 4th place. Of course, Patrick Healy will get the fastest lap of the race so far, but they are only not too far. How about Bonanno all by himself? just ran about half a tenth slower than the fastest lap of the race. So he is really set up and wound up quite well to lead the charge here today as they work their way through. And as we keep an eye, no changes for your top 6 out right now, as it is a 4-car breakaway from the rest of the field. About 2.5 seconds separates your top 4 from Jared Tracy, who's leading the next group of the field of cars as they work over to the 180 switchbacks.
Yeah, here comes Ryan Kasner, though. Kasner put together a really good couple corners there, and he is putting a lot of pressure on John Bonanno. He is feeling really comfortable now. They're actually leaving Brian Daniele and Healy just a little bit there, but look at that. John Bonanno feels really strong in that last half of the racetrack, able to gap Kasner, and Kasner won't be able to get much of a tow here heading towards turn 1.
They certainly are not as they come across the line here, as they come through the final few set of corners. It is going to be Ryan Kasner with a 109.573 here. He just set the fastest lap with the help of that big toe that he got from John Bonanno as they work their way through. Now watching, he takes a peek to the outside along with Patrick Healy as he tries to find an opening to get around their competitors as they work through turns 3 and 4. Things setting up to be a very excellent pre-final here for your KA Masters.
Yeah, most definitely. Ryan Kasner, he's a really, really smart driver. He knows that he can just sit there for most of this race in the pre-final because he knows the only race that really is important is the feature race. And obviously, he's content to just push Bonanno the whole way through.
That's where all the big points are needed. That's where all these drivers are looking for before they head to the finals later on today. And then, of course, the final race of the season. And we will crown champions here for the Stars Championship Series as they work their way through the second of the 2 180 switchbacks. Great racing between the two competitors. Kasner just taking his time, wanting to see if he can try to build a gap to get away from Brian and Patrick as they work their way down towards the back half of the course. And as they work their way through the final corner, they got a little separation right now. It's currently about 0.6 of a second. Now let's see as they come across the line. Make it 1.06 seconds now, separating your first and second from third and fourth.
Yeah, John Bonanno and Ryan Kasner about half a second faster than third and fourth last time by. It looks to me that Patrick Healy doesn't really have the pace to keep up with Daniele and the slower stuff, and it's hampering both their progress because they can't really push each other.
They certainly cannot, and with that, they have about a 6-second advantage over Jared Tracy, who's working with the 229 of Derek Sokol, your biggest mover of the race, gaining 6 spots after starting in the 12th position. He sits in P6 right now, tucked up behind Jared Tracy in the 205 machine. And as they work their way down towards the back half of the course to the 2 180 switchbacks, Bonanno and Kasner, we're watching them now leading the charge here today as they work their way through the first of 2, now the second one, as they head down to the double apex and work their way towards the back half of the course to that long sweeping corner to really put the power down.
Yeah, obviously Derek Sokol, your biggest mover right now, up 6 positions. That is Ryan Kasner's teammate. So Kasner is hoping to see him up front for the feature race. So obviously a really, really good race for Sokol, and hopefully that pays off in the feature race when the teammates can work together.
Let's see what they do as they come across the line. We'll see what the gap is between Bonanno, Kasner from Danelli, and Healy. Currently 1.8 seconds. So they picked up 0.2, or about 0.8 of a second last time around as they work their way through, but still no changes for positions currently right now. As a couple of drivers just set their best personal lap of the race. Of course, Kasner with the fastest lap, of course, and Bonanno setting another personal best for him, along with Stevens and Stifler back in 9th and 10th position right now as the field works their way through out of turn number 6. There you see that second group of cars not too far behind on screen as they work down the back straightaway, working their way through. Bonanno still just taking his time, hitting his marks, running a very smooth, consistent race, looking to sweep the weekend here at New Jersey.
Yeah, Bonanno all weekend has seemed a little bit more comfortable up front than Ryan Kasner. Kasner seems to have the pace when he's behind him. It makes a little bit of mistakes every once in a while. Right now, he's got a pretty good run on Bonanno, but right here, Bonanno is really, really strong. As you'll see, he'll probably get a bit of a gap. There he goes. But now heading towards turn 1, this long straightaway, Kasner's going to get a big toe here, and I'll be curious to see if he goes for a move or just decides to push away from third and fourth.
Going to be interesting to see here as they work their way through. How about a change for position by the looks of it? It looks like Healy might have shown the nose to get around Denali, but nope, thinks better of it, stays tucked up behind. They want to try to make up ground, but they are losing a ton of ground. And I got to ask you, Alex, when we're seeing something like this, do you think it's maybe better for drivers who are maybe a little bit slower to maybe see about switching off with the driver they're working with to see if they can close that gap?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the drivers know who's faster and who's not. And so, I mean, obviously we don't know if Bonanno and Kasner have the same gear or not, because if Bonanno has, for example, a taller gear, it would benefit him to get behind Kasner, because obviously he's faster on the straightaway. You want the guy who's a little bit faster on the straights to be behind you, because obviously that benefits both of you guys on the straights.
Well, we'll see if there's possibly going to be a change of position between Denali and Healy to see if they can try to close that gap down from 2.7 seconds to maybe closing up to the back bumper of those two competitors here as Derek Sokol moves up to P5. So he is still your biggest mover of the race, gaining 5 or 7 spots here today. As we watch on, Anthony Stifler also gaining 2 spots as well after starting in P11. So a great drive for him currently as the field works their way through the final few corners, keeping an eye on your race leaders, Bananu as well as Kasner. Currently 4 minutes left to go, plus 2 laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park for your KA Masters pre-final event. Before we get things ready for the finals, of course, it'll be 16 minutes plus 2 laps when we go to finals racing later on here this afternoon after the lunch break, as we watch them work through turns 2, 3, and 4 complex, out of turn number 5 to make the short run over to the hairpin corner of turn number 6. He'll show the nose to the outside, then stays tucked up behind as they go down the hill. I got to say, that's one of the most amazing corners here at New Jersey. Turn number 6, that banked downhill corner, really provides a lot of great passing opportunities if you set it up right here as we keep an eye on your top 2.
Yeah, obviously, I have not been fortunate enough to drive here, but that corner does certainly seem like a really, really fun corner. But the entire track itself provides great racing, especially for these KA Master guys.
It certainly is. Just a little bit over a mile in distance here around this circuit, providing a lot of great passing opportunities, a lot of high-speed action. Some of these karts that we'll see later on today will hit speeds in excess of over 75 miles an hour, almost pushing a little over 80 miles an hour for some of our competitors here, especially in the draft as they work out of the final corner here. Going to be just under 3 minutes to go, so possibly looking just about right around 4 laps to go left in this race.
Yeah, wow. Ryan Kasner puts in the fastest lap of the race, and John Bonanno, to his credit, put in his fast lap of the race. So obviously these two guys are just getting faster. As we look further down the field, Gordon Cameron up in position, and his fast lap of the race as well, up to P5 now. Good run from him.
Yeah, Gordon Cameron along. We'll have to take a look at that battle because Derek Sokol lost 2 positions from both Tracy and Gordon Cameron. If we can take a look at that, the 249 machine who leads that 5-car train right now, of course, with Tracy, Sokol, Gressner, Stifler, and Stevens throwing Barros as well in the mix of that as we see those drivers possibly out on the circuit.
Yeah, look at Ryan Kasner, though, just keeping the pressure on John Bonanno. He knows he's just going to sit here until he sees at least a 2 popsicle sticks, if not the white flag, because he knows he just wants to keep pulling away from 3rd and 4th.
As we'll try to see from our camera crew to see if we can take a look at that battle for P5 between Cameron, Tracy, and Sokol as they work their way through. Here they come. Of course, your race leaders out of turn number 1, or out of the final corner, heading over to turn number 1. We'll pick them up here. As there you see Denali and Healy now. They're still staying tucked up behind. As here comes Cameron. We're going to pick them up here as they work through the final few set of corners and get themselves set up for a lap here. This is, of course, Gordon Cameron, who's now in P5. Behind him is Jared Tracy for P6. Derek Sokol there also in that 7th position. He's a little bit further back, about 1.9 seconds, but these two right here, Cameron and Tracy, really putting on a strong performance to see if they can try to close up on the 3rd and 4th drivers, but they are quite a ways back. Not enough time for them to make up 10 seconds.
Yeah, Derek Sokol must have made a mistake somewhere at some point because he was up to P5, and now he's 3 seconds behind Gordon Cameron in 5th. So obviously somewhere in the last lap or 2, he's fallen off the pace a little bit. But back up front, Ryan Kasner, again, just keeping the pressure on John Bonanno, biding his time. He knows what it takes to win races in this KA Masters class.
He certainly does here as they work their way through, coming to the final few corners, about 30 seconds left on the time, so we might be able to see the 2 to go signal. Nope. We're going to get at least 3 more laps of action out of the final corner. They will go. It is still going to be Bonanno over Kasner here as they get ready to come across the line here. It's going to be 3 laps of racing here at New Jersey Motorsports Park for your pre-finals of the KA Masters. Heading down into turn 3, they will go line nose to tail, working their way through the S's of turns 3 and 4. Out of turn number 5, they will make the run up to the turn 6, that hairpin bank corner as they work their way through. Still lined up nose to tail. We won't see Kasner maybe making a move till we get that white flag.
Yeah, that's what I suspect here. Ryan Kasner seems super content in 2nd place. He's had so many chances to peek a nose and hasn't even tried it. He has not played his cards at all this race. He's playing this super smart.
Being the Iceman's no emotion, no just pure focus here, waiting for the opportune time to make a pass for the race lead as they work through the final couple of corners. We're going to see the flag man come out with the popsicle sticks in the air as we get the 2-to-go signal here once again here at New Jersey Motorsports Park as they work down the back straightaway heading towards the final few corners and approaching towards the front straightaway to get that 2-to-go signal. Here they come out of the final corner. Flagman with 2-to-go signals in the air as we have one cart off on the circuit.
Yeah, it's Gordon Cameron. That's our P5 running KA Masters car. He's out of the race. That's going to move Jared Tracy and so the whole field up. But obviously, tough break for Gordon Cameron after he just ran his fastest lap of the race, and now he is unfortunately out.
Unfortunate for Gordon Cameron, who has having such a good run inside the top 5 here, but we go back up to the front of the field with Bonanno and Kasner. Kasner now just poking and prodding, trying to see if he can find a weakness in the armor of Bonanno. Can he pull off a win to break the streak of John Bonanno, who's been dominating all of this weekend here for the KA Masters at New Jersey Motorsports Park, working their way through the first of 2 180 switchbacks. There's a little bit of separation as they head into the first 180. And a little bit of a crossover possibly attempt, but no works for him this time around.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see the 2 different driving styles. John Bonanno drives it in really hard to those 2 180 switchbacks, and Kasner seems to back off the corners, and it seems to just be super neutral between those 2 drivers. So obviously, 2 different driving styles, 2 different approaches to this whole racetrack, and it's just identical lap times.
Identical lap times indeed as we watch them come out of the final corner. Flagman has the 1-to-go signal here, and it's go time for Ryan Kasner as they come across the line. One more time around as they work through turn number 1. Kasner trying to stay right tucked up behind John Bonanno. When will he make the first move of attack? He'll go to the outside, try to take the long way around. Nope, does not work for him this time. Through turn 2 and 3, he'll look to the inside. Thinks better of it and tries to build the momentum he needs as they come to the turn number 6 hairpin. Up the hill they'll go before down the banking. A little bit of contact as they work down to the inside. Heading through the chicanes here as they head towards the back straightaway. Now's the time to kick it into overdrive for Ryan Kasner. If he wants to make a move, he'll look to the outside. Big block by Bonanno just trying to keep him there and stay behind him as they head to the first of the 180 switchbacks. Heading down into the braking zone. Kasner quite a ways off, about a cart distance. Bonanno gets a little squirrely into the braking zone. Kasner tries to get there closer. Not going to work this time as they head through the final few corners. Kasner, cart length back, cannot make it work. Will he have enough time as they work their way through the final few set of corners? Out of the big sweeping corner they will go. And as they make the power down, Kasner not going to have enough for him by the looks of it. Out of the final 2 corners, approaching over 80 miles an hour as they come out of the final corner. Checkered flag in the air. It's Bonanno who will go with a race win. Kasner in second as a strong performance, but a lot of learning for him here to get ready for the finals later today.
Yeah, love to see the 2 sportsmanship. Obviously, 2 fist pumps there at the end of the race. Those 2 guys, they know that they are the class of the field right now, running super consistent lap times all race long. A little bit of a photo finish there. Only 400 separate the top 2, but obviously a good run from them. Brian Daniele's going to come home in 3rd position. Patrick Healy, 4 seconds back at the end of the race from Daniele, so obviously could not stay together. And then Jared Tracy rounds up your top 5. Good run from Derek Sokol there. Hard charger up 6 positions.
7th position will go to Anthony Stifler, who picks up 4 spots since his starting position. Chris Stevens picks up a spot in 8th position. Thomas Gressner will come home 9th. Kevin Simonolik will come home in rounding out your top 10. Gordon Cameron and Galo Barros will not finish the race. They'll come home in 11th and 12th. Exciting action still to come here from New Jersey Motorsports Park. Next up on the list for pre-finals, it's going to be the Minis. You are watching of course, the Stars Championship Series live from New Jersey Motorsports Park, only on Kart Chasers.
Looking for a top-level team environment that fits your budget? Look no further than AMAX Racing. We cater to customers around the country who want driver coaching, tuning assistance, hospitality, track support, and a family race environment. Our race schedule is support available at all levels, from club and regional series across the Midwest to top-tier events such as the TKNA Grand Nationals, the U.S. Pro Kart Series, and the Scooter Pro Tour. Whatever level you may be at or want to get to, AMAX Racing can get you there.
I'm Billy Vincent, owner of MPG Motorsports. What we do at MPG is we try to keep it a nice, fun family atmosphere, try to combine sort of the bigger things and of the bigger teams and the professionalism down with sort of some of the fun sort of family-oriented atmosphere. We try to not only develop drivers, but also the parents and the families for just in knowledge in general in motorsports. It all starts in karting. What we try to do is try to help the drivers, the moms, the dads understand the sport of motorsports in general, not just karting, but what it takes to get all the way up through. Whether you end up wanting to be a driver or a mechanic or an engineer, you know, we can help you with that, and that's what we're here for. If you're interested in joining us at MPG, our home base is at Whiteland Raceway Park in Indianapolis, and you can contact us at info@willpowerkart.com, and one of our great people will reach out to you, and we'll try to put the best program together.
Odenthal Racing Products, your #1 producer in engine mounts since 1992, along with our leading-edge designs and product development, such as the Odenthal Racing Products EasyGP camera mount, which comes in 4 different styles and can be used on any karting platform. To see our products online, go to odenthalracing.com.
Welcome back here to New Jersey Motorsports Park, and once again for KA Stars, one of the 36 drivers having some issues on the grid. It's one of the Brandon Jarstracrack Racing Lando Norris kart drivers. I believe that might be Jake Walker in the 900, and he looks like he's slowly moving off the pit lane. Maybe still an issue for the BJR LN kart driver as he tries to get that thing wound up. Seems a little bit clogged up at the moment. He'll lean that thing out and get onto the circuit. Now, with all that understood, the rest of the field has made its way around the racetrack. My name's Xander Clements. Alongside me in the booth, Alexander Searle. Talked to a few of the drivers on the grid before getting underway here with this one. Name of the game, of course, really has been the starts. The outside lane really can get burned if you can't get down to the inside, and that was the case for Ryan Raffa, among others. He said, I just couldn't turn. We were 3 wide, 4 wide, 2 wide at points. There was no way for me to get down to the bottom and make the corner, and I went backwards quickly. And then the same for the likes of Justin White, who qualified 9th. They had some issues in getting out to the grid for qualifying, but they only got 2 minutes, really 1 lap in, and there goes Walker. He's done, so no issue, no session coming for Jake Walker. He'll go all the way to the tail of the field for the main event, unfortunately, today. As for the rest of the pack, we're ready to go for action. Heat 1 set the grid, and now we're ready for the pre-final. Chase Jones, Oliver Hodgson, and the rest of the pack are into the tram lines, and we are underway down to turns 1 and 2. A nice start here for the MPG Motorsports Will Power Kart, and they're all going to fan out 2 abreast coming on the straightaway to turn number 3.
Yeah, it was a pretty sloppy start there. A lot of guys seem to be out of line as there's a lot of contact. Aiden Fox getting into the rear of Chase Jones. Chase Jones, good save there. Oliver Hodgson's going to hold on to 3rd. Connor Ferris has also made a really good spot up to 4th position. I think the biggest loser there right now seems to be Justin White, who's fallen back a few spots.
Yeah, Connor Ferris, talked to him. Obviously, he was the other driver that's had some issues getting off the grid. His issue came at the beginning for heat number 1 yesterday. Was luckily able to get himself back up to his prime starting spot and pull off a decent finish. Asked him what he thought the problem was. Said he wasn't sure, just would not fire. They were able to obviously get the issue solved here overnight and get him out onto the racetrack here for the pre-final. Here is the 917. Lucas Zabo in the Ryan Perry Motorsport livery Tony Kart working his way around. We got a couple off in the back. That is towards the end of the field. And we'll try and identify who we've just lost. One of the red speed carts for sure. Look at Aiden Fox quickly and decisively down to the inside onto the front straightaway. He'll take over the lead. Hodgson into second as well. He'll go nearly to the inside into turn number 2.
Wow, I have not seen a move be made on that final corner all weekend long. Aiden Fox, super decisive move, and he made it stick. Oliver Hodgson, opportunistic, follows him through into P2. I thought he was going to go to P1 for a second there, but thought better of it.
Oliver Hodgson is a master when it comes to defending. He's able to open up just a little bit more than everybody else and still keep everyone behind him, as you saw that move he did in front of Chase Jones going to turn at number 3 as they exit the red 171 hairpin. Now Hodgson looking for the lead himself to the inside of Aiden Fox on the back straightaway. Oliver Hodgson takes over the lead, and the Brit leads them into the right-handed chicane. Now quickly slotting in line is Fox. Jones in third, under fire from Szabo. He'll hang tough on the outside. Not today for the rookie, and now they're going to freight train him. Here comes Ferris. Here comes Lombardo. Justin White trying to go by as well without a move attempted by Lucas Szabo, and Matthew Dunkovich will be the last one through as 4 drivers all go by on the Tony Kart.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with those 2 180 switchbacks. You go for a move in the first one. If it doesn't stick, you're now on the outside all the way through the last few corners, and he just got left out to dry. They're losing 4 and maybe 5 positions. He is down in P8 right now.
Quick time of the session going to Finnegan Bailiff aboard the Trinity Karting Group Kart Republic all the way down in 12th. It's still pretty tightly packed up front. Look at that, Justin White down the inside and Alfonso Lombardo. He'll slot in just in front of Dunkovich, who still holds on to that spot ahead of Szabo in the 7th position. Up for second, Chase Jones, little slide job as he locks the brakes up and jacks the car down the inside on Aiden Fox. He takes over second, and Oliver Hodgson's lead increases to about 3 car lengths here at the end of the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's the first time all weekend we've seen Oliver Hodgson lead. Obviously, in the first heat that we saw, he was just content sitting in third all race long until the last lap we finished P2. So we'll see what he can do from the lead now. Obviously, a world-class driver, so he's probably really comfortable out there.
Chase Jones trying to close back up to him. He's going to keep him within striking distance, having gone by Aiden Fox in a smart area where they didn't lose a lot of time. That tow will still be very beneficial for the MPG Motorsports Will Power Car driver. In fact, he's got a great exit. He'll be on the bumper by the time we get to the start-finish line straight. Here he comes, Chase Jones, bumper, looking, not going to go to turns 1 and 2, but he's back there on Hodgson, and the field is all tightly stacked. Look at that big run out of 2 as well. He'll take advantage inside for the lead. Chase Jones to the inside in turn number 3.
Yeah, I mean, to showcase how powerful the tow is, Chase Jones last time by was 5/10 quicker than your leader Hodgson, who is now in P2. Chase Jones obviously has been comfortable all weekend long leading the race. Hodgson, he knows this is the pre-final. He knows this grid. This sets the grid for the final, so he does not want to end up in 36th position if he ends up making contact.
Yeah, Jake Walker already, unfortunately, suffering that with the issue of not being able to get off the grid. Made it onto the racetrack, pacing around, but couldn't get the thing to get up to full song. We go back from Jones here. This grouping is about 6 drivers deep, trailing off at Alfonso Lombardo. Lucas Szabo is about 0.8 of a second back from the 6-car lead pack, with Hodgson and Jones at the front. Fox, Ferris, White, and Lombardo all together 1 through 6 here in the opening stages of the pre-final. 4.5 minutes complete so far. A little more time to be completed as they come across the line, and the 12 minutes plus 2 laps distance set. And down to turn number 2, little pass attempt looking for Justin White on Connor Ferris. He does not go by, and the points leader hangs on to 4th.
Yeah, Connor Ferris right now, fastest guy out of the top 5 or 6 that last time by. He has caught the leaders. It is now a 6-7 kart train. Connor Ferris, he needs to get around Aiden Fox as quick as possible if he wants to go catch those leaders. Looking up to the hairpin now, Connor Ferris looked to the inside just for a split second there on Aiden Fox. Thought better of it as they head down towards the back section of the racetrack.
And now, look at that, Alfonso Lombardo slipping away a little bit. That'll give some more tow to Lucas Szabo to kind of close back up. So the rubber band effect will kind of keep the field together if they don't battle more back from 6th or 7th, although I will say Zabo's got a healthy margin back to Ryan Raffa. Raffa's gone ahead of George Fagali in the Lando Norris kart for BJR. He's down in 9th. Alex Murray is 10th. They trail by about a second or so from the leaders. Raffa started up in the 5th spot, and again a bad start for the Full Tilt Racing Tony Kart driver. So he's got some work to do as the leaders come across the line. They're stacked up behind Chase Jones, and Connor Ferris takes a peek inside, outside, stays in line. No change there. Oliver Hodgson remaining in line in 2nd as he waits and the whole field a little bit narrow into turn number 3. That'll kind of keep allowing that second pack to catch up if they work together. Although Ryan Raffa was in 8th, got all the way shuffled down to the 12th position behind Matthew Dunkovich. He's 7 spots back now early on here in this pre-final. Not a good start for Ryan Raffa.
Yeah, after getting shuffled back about 2 or 3 laps ago, Lucas Zabo puts in the fastest lap of the race. He is now caught up to this top 6. He's made it a 7-cart train now.
Yeah, so 7 drivers in the party up front, 2 seconds back to the next grouping, led by George Fagali and Alex Murray. Finnegan Bailiff, who hit the quickest time of the session early on before slowly getting passed up for that honor by Zabo and others. He's running in 10th. Dunkovich and Raffa there with Gavin Bailiff, the younger brother, trailing that off in 13th. We look to the leaders right now. You can see Oliver Hodgson still glued to the rear bumper of Chase Jones, 2 of the veterans out front over a number of others as they head down to turns 1 and 2. 7 drivers deep, and Hodgson, little look down the inside on Jones. Thought he was working with him, and that was really the curse of the commentator to switch things up. Oliver Hodgson to the lead. Jones trying to hang tough on the outside. He will, and he'll put Aiden Fox on the back burner as they all go 2 by 2 up the hill.
Yeah, Aiden Fox got defensive there on Chase Jones, and it's actually cost him 6 positions out because he was on the outside of that corner. So from 2nd down to 6th place for Aiden Fox.
Yeah, surprised Jones wanted to fight the pass as hard as he did, but ultimately it worked out better for Jones. Worse for Aiden Fox. Fox just trying to capitalize on the move made by Hodgson and follow him through, and Chase Jones stopping the backwards momentum, sends Fox to the Wolves, and he holds on to that 2nd spot. Like you said, Fox down to 6. Justin White inherits 3rd. Ferris to 4th, Lombardo to complete the top 5, and through all of that shuffling, Oliver Hodgson has been gifted about a half-second lead or so back to this group here led by Chase Jones.
Yeah, I'm very surprised Hodgson went for that really, really bold move, but it's actually worked out in his favor. I don't think the lead will last that long, though, because now we have Justin White and Chase Jones working really, really well together, and I bet they'll catch him in the next lap or 2.
Well, again, Oliver Hodgson said he was going to kind of keep a little bit of some of his cards close to the chest till the main event later on this afternoon. He said as the weekend will go, you'll see a little more of this pack racing, a little bit more battling as the weekend progresses, and maybe a few different moves here and there, but definitely much of the same from what we saw in that first heat race on the weekend. For Oliver Hodgson, the gap at the line last time by 0.7 of a second. Back to Chase Jones as the packs slowly work their way on through. That gap is coming down. Justin White coming along. Connor Ferris a little bit further back there. The championship points leader having a very consistent run so far in that 4th position. Lombardo still there. Fox still in 6th. And then 7th, of course, being Lucas Zabo with the fastest time of the session. Now they've battled a good bit up front, but they've also hit good lap times since. So that gap back to George Fagali was 2 seconds. Make it 3 from the rear bumper now of Lucas Zabo.
Yeah, I think you're going to see Connor Ferris fight the leaders any second now because he's been fighting with Alfonso Lombardo most of this race, and now he's got a bit of a gap, but there comes Lombardo right back in his bumper. If they work together, they can definitely make this a 7-cart train again.
Yeah, they're trying. There's no question about it, but they lost about 1/10 of a second last time by. Now, Chase Jones and Justin White, they're on another level. They were 0.2 faster than Oliver Hodgson, 0.3 faster than Connor Ferris that time around, so they're making up ground. Connor Ferris is the one that might be holding up the train, and so we'll see how long the rookies behind him in the forms of Alfonso Lombardo and Lucas Zabo want to wait. As Zabo's gone around Aiden Fox, he's been shuffled down to the 7th position. Oliver Hodgson still your leader, though, as they go down to the right-handed hairpin. We're coming up on what should be about 4 to 5 laps to go as we hit the 10-minute mark here in the 12-minute plus 2-lap pre-final for KA Stars.
Yeah, Oliver Hodgson showing pretty impressive pace. I mean, only being 0.2 off Chase Jones and Justin White by himself last time by. Really impressive stuff. One of the only times we've seen all weekend where guys are able to really kind of match the pace of 2 guys working together.
And good stuff here from Justin White, showing the patience that if he stays in line behind Chase Jones, they can get back up to the lead. So he'll continue to push him down that front straightaway, headed to turn number 1, and they are there. They have arrived on the doorstep of Oliver Hodgson. Big run for Chase Jones. Is he close enough that he wants to go into 3? Hodgson thinks, though. He stays low and defends the lead there through that opening set of hairpins, and Jones remains back in 2nd. Now, if Hodgson keeps blocking, that'll open the door for more battling, but he left the door open there. Jones slips through in the red 171 hairpin. Chase Jones back to the lead.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's see if these guys learn their lesson from earlier in the race, but clearly not. I mean, the second these guys fight, if they're going to make it a train again, I would think that these guys just want to work together to pull away from the guys in 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, but clearly not.
Well, it's tough to tell. What you saw earlier with the Hodgson's move and in that awkward position to make a pass, you can kind of get it to pay off when the pack is just big enough that you can force them to fight for 2nd and 3rd. And that's exactly what happened. Oliver Hodgson bought himself about 4 laps of clean racetrack because we got some problems over here. One of the Trinity karting group drivers has gone for a wild ride, and it is Finnegan Bailiff, who was one of the fastest on the circuit. Heavy damage to that TKG Kart Republic, and he's done. Another driver to the rear for the main event.
Yeah, really unfortunate there from Finnegan Bailiff. He was up 6 positions when that incident happened. Really unfortunate for him. He was flying. His brother, though, Gavin Bailiff, is up 7 positions, so he's now in the top 10. Really good run from both brothers, but unfortunately Finnegan is out.
Yeah, so that was out of that pack, led initially by George Fagali and more. It collected, obviously, Finnegan Bailiff. Also, Logan Mueller has been knocked out, so not a good morning for the TKG camp, unfortunately. Great morning, obviously, for Gavin Bailiff, but for a couple of their bullets in the gun, they are down, and we'll be starting from the tail end here for the final. Chase Jones still leads over Oliver Hodgson this time by. They're going to hit the limit, and look at Hodgson wheeling Chase Jones there into the right-handed hairpin. They all get tripped up. Jones got clear back in front of Justin White, and Chase Jones, he was able to hang on the outside and crowd Aiden Fox earlier on. Oliver Hodgson said, "You are not going to do that to me. I'm going to make sure I get through." And once he sent it on the inside, he cleaned off the exit there. And Connor Ferris says, "All right, I'll push you for now to try to get back to him," but that gap is going to be pretty hefty. Oliver Hodgson across the line, 1 second back to Chase Jones and Connor Ferris. Ferris, it's a smart move for him to push with Chase Jones, because if he can hang on to him, at worst, he finishes 3rd, inside lane for the main event, while they battle back for 4th. However, if they arrive at the doorstep of the leader, if Jones gets back to Hodgson, I bet there'll be no love lost there for Chase Jones and Oliver Hodgson when they come together.
Yeah, it was a relentless defense there from Oliver Hodgson there. Chase Jones tried to hold on the outside, and it didn't really work. Justin White was going to be able to clean up the pieces, but unfortunately, he was the biggest loser of that little incident there. We'll see if Connor Ferris can try to work together with Chase Jones and close the gap in the remaining lap and a half.
Yeah, so Chase Jones, Oliver Hodgson coming together, giving this big gap here for Hodgson again, able to get the pack to kind of bottleneck back for 2nd and give himself a healthy cushion. This time by, we'll see the white flag, I believe. So one more time around for Oliver Hodgson. Connor Ferris is not able to hang up as tight with Chase Jones. He's got Justin White on his tail, looking to get around potentially for 3rd. Through the kink here this time. White flag in the air. Oliver Hodgson is your leader. Jones 2nd, Ferris 3rd, White 4th. Little gap back for them to Aiden Fox. Then to Lombardo as Connor Ferris goes wide. And little bit of pushing and shoving there between Justin White and Connor Ferris out of turn 2.
Yeah, a little bit of contact there from Aiden Fox and Justin White. Justin White, a really good over-under there. Connor Ferris put the defensive on him, and it didn't work out. And Connor Ferris has lost out 4 positions. He's down in 7th, just like that.
So Justin White up a couple spots from his grid position, 4 to be exact, up to 3rd. Meanwhile, this guy, Oliver Hodgson, still leads the way. Jones 2nd, White 3rd, Lombardo and Zabo both getting by on Connor Ferris. Or Aiden Fox and Lombardo, getting by on Connor Ferris. He slotted into the 6th position, was up as high as 3rd there just a few moments prior. Jones, though, looks like he's got this one under control for 2nd. I think White will be happy to cross the line in 3rd. And out front, Oliver Hodgson. What a great way to kind of manipulate what he needed to get a gap. 2 times. He builds it. He wins the pre-final here in KA Stars. Jones 2nd. White in 3rd. Fox 4th. Lombardo in 5th. Lucas Zabo 6th. Connor Ferris, Ryan Raffa, Matt Dunkovich, Hunter Perry. That one got a little bit wild.
Yeah, Hunter Perry, speaking of him, up 15 positions that race. Hard charger goes to him. What a run. That was a really good race from there, from all those guys. Oliver Hodgson with a pretty demanding lead there. 2.6 seconds after all those guys started battling for 2nd.
Well, with all that in mind here, the KA Stars are complete. Our next group to come on out to the racetrack is already on the grid, and that, of course, is group number 5, the Micros here. We had our very own Taylor Burris head down to the grid to get us some intel. He's got some information for us. Taylor, what do you got for us here for the Micro Division?
talked to Scotty Presti during the races here happening today. Of course, he finished in P2 during the KZ Rock Masters heat race from yesterday. Talked to him to see what adjustments he was able to make. He made a couple of fine-tuned adjustments to the kart to get himself ready to try to go in battle with Mike Riviera. Of course, he is not really that concerned about not going into warm-up to see how those adjustments benefited the kart, but also is really knowing that this race is going to be a bit of an endurance race, trying to make sure that he takes care of himself as well as the kart when we go into these longer events here for today's action. But he does feel confident if he makes a couple of adjustments on his driving skills on certain points of the track to try to compensate to keep up with Mike Riviera, he will have a shot to go and battle for the race win. Back over to you, Xander.
Thank you, Taylor. So again, Scott Presti and Mike Rivera, they'll be coming up following the Micros division in the KZ and Rock Master class. That's group number 6 of 8 on the order. Group number 5 with the Micros set to go. Beautiful day here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. At least it's turning out to be. Fingers crossed we get all the action in. You are watching the revised timeline format here for the Stars Championship Series third round of the season. Thunder and Lightning, a dooming name if you want to call it, Alex, no question. Lightning delays hurt us on practice day, cut out 2 sessions, cut out the second round of heat races, and they have forced the series to try and call an audible. They decided to remove the morning warm-up sessions, go directly into the pre-finals, and hopefully get all of our races in at full distance in the dry before anything like inclement weather could try and throw a wrench into things.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the weather can stay away. Obviously, those clouds are looming in the area. Obviously, you know, different rules around here. If there's the lightning in the area, obviously the race is going to be stopped. So hopefully we don't hear that alarm anytime soon like yesterday. But coming up right now is going to be a really exciting Micro Stars race that I'm looking forward to. Yesterday, I believe Marco Samet was your winner. It was a really, really close race from the top 3.
Yeah, it was a good battle throughout for the Micro drivers, mainly to watch Samet kind of lead them and then them fight a little bit behind them. He had a solid performance he was able to put together, and so let's go ahead and we'll get set to walk you through the starting lineup as soon as they switch on over for it. Going back to the KA Stars, though, any other big movers, obviously, throughout the race? We talked about Gavin Bailiff. He was up 6 spots, up 7 at one point into the top 10. Hunter Perry was the biggest. 15 spots gained from way outside the top 20 for Hunter Perry to get up into 9th. We talked about Ryan Raffa. His rebound charge got him to the best of the rest in the midfield. He was able to get to 8th and get away from the craziness that took out Finnegan Bailiff and more. Anthony DeCestro picked up 7 spots as well, got himself into the top 15 with a 14th place run. Aiden Hatcher picked up 9, got into 18th, and Chris Verino from the tail end of the grid got up into 21st, 13 spots gained. We talked about Finnegan Bailiff with issues. Byron Daly also had a problem. He was starting about midway to the 20s. It was unfortunate. I was talking to Byron before we went green. He said, man, felt really good about this racetrack, having a lot of fun out here. Just unfortunate, obviously, not getting as many laps as they would like to throughout the race weekend, but they really enjoyed the facility and the track layout this year to offer in Millville, New Jersey. Logan Mueller and Finnegan Bailiff, we covered them. Obviously, they had their issues. Jake Walker was not the only one with problems that could not complete a single lap. Danny Dzelski and Max Taylor as well, unfortunately, down at the bottom of the grid for KA Stars. There'll be names to watch come the main event later on this afternoon, but still a little bit of track cleanup underway before we get going with the Micros. We're waiting to see if we can hear from some of our top drivers in KA Stars, especially would love to get a word from Oliver Hodgson and Chase Jones, their takes on that last little battle they had coming together in that one, Alex. Obviously, Oliver Hodgson stuffing it down the inside. Chase Jones, we saw where he was gave him the spot in turn number 2 earlier on in the session, but he fought Aiden Fox. Not sure where his take was, but it looks like we do have Oliver Hodgson standing by. So let's send it on over to Taylor to get his take on how that one played out. Your pre-final winner from J3 competition. Taylor?
We are here with Oliver Hodgson, your pre-final winner here today. Oliver, an exciting battle with you and Chase all the way to the finish. Walk us through the competition between you two that you've had all weekend long.
Yeah, so coming in, I think we've both been near the top of the timesheets all weekend, and then, yeah, shook out. We were both in the top 3 as we finished in yesterday, and both featured near the front of the race yesterday. Then for me, this is a new track this weekend, so coming out this morning, another day on the track. Genuinely a pleasure to drive my kart in that race because I felt like I had the quicker of the karts in the lead pack, which kind of enabled me to be on the attack. So with all that said, there's only the next race coming up, the final we're interested in winning. So nice to be in this position, but all the work's yet to come in this final.
We do got to talk about the big factor, of course, possibly happening for your finals race. We could possibly see some weather coming into play for this action for the later today. What's your thoughts on that and any adjustments that you could possibly be ready for in case we do see weather in play?
Yeah, and honestly, if it rains, you'll probably be quite excited just for a change because, yeah, in the US, you don't typically get to race in the wet a lot. So being a Brit, it's been a little while since I raced in the rain, so I'd be excited to give it a go in the wet. And it's pretty simple, just the main thing is you got the wets on and the right tire pressures in them. A little bit of gearing. Contrary to popular belief, I don't think you need to change the karts that much. So just feel how much grip there is and get on with it.
All right, well, good luck to you in the finals. Oliver Hodgson, your pre-final winner here, and we'll see him back on the track for the finals. Back over to you, Xander.
Thank you, Taylor. Oliver Hodgson, obviously, like he said, grown up with a lot more rain racing than what we're used to here in the States. Alexander, you've got a handful of sessions in the rain, but probably not nearly as much had you grown up overseas, I'd have to imagine.
No, I'm actually, the biggest surprise there was he said, contrary to popular belief, he doesn't change the kart too much in the wet. So that's surprising to me because I know for me, whenever it rains, I change to a softer setup, which is usually what you end up doing. But for him, he feels comfortable enough with his go-kart to whether rain or dry, he feels confident he can win.
Well, that's definitely a good testament to the J3 competition comp kart guys for their chassis, but also for sure you can tune yourself out a little bit. You can't. We're used to with dry setups trying to get the maximum level of grip, the right balance for the car, and you're never going to have a good balance when it comes to the rain setup. So obviously you can do a few little things. You'll typically want to widen your front track width, narrow your rear track width a little bit to dial some generic grip in, but there will be some drivers for sure that may make axle changes, may try and mess with the front end geometry with caster and camber. As a whole, though, sometimes that stuff could just be a bit of a moot point in the end. Either way, though, the micros are making their way onto the racetrack now. Marco Samet has Enzo De Janeiro and the rest of the pack together. We saw De Janeiro and Kai Mars have a good battle throughout heat number 1. And a few different drivers kind of move up and down the grid. So Marco Samet will take them through the right-hand kink onto the front straightaway. And we get set for action with micros here. 12 minutes plus 2 laps. Marco Samet, Enzo De Janeiro, and the rest of the micro field is underway down to turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, Enzo De Janeiro, pretty decent start there, but obviously I don't think Caleb Tracy got a good enough start to really give him a push, and that allowed Kai Mars to slide into second place there. Enzo's now defending into turn 2 from Caleb Tracy, who's going to get left up to dry there, but he's going to hold the inside into 4 and hang on to that position over Danny O'Gara. Going into the middle part of the race right now, Marco Samet's got a decent-sized lead over Enzo De Janeiro, Kai Mars, who's obviously stolen that second position from Danny O'Gara.
As we watch the field work their way through, as they keep an eye on this battle, working through into towards the 180 switchbacks, it's going to be, of course, Marco Samet, De Janeiro, and then Kai Mars, your top 3. As we see, Marco is definitely a man on a mission. He has pulled away by several car lengths over the rest of the field as they come through. That beautiful blue and green number 3 machine pulls away as we now see Enzo De Janeiro and Kai Mars now trying to work together to close the gap on Marco Samet as they come to the final few corners. 1 lap about to be completed.
Yeah, obviously something that we haven't spoken about much is no warm-up this morning. So these guys are going in kind of blindly into this pre-final race. They have no idea how the cart's going to handle on a pretty green racetrack. Obviously some weather came in yesterday and kind of threw the rubber off the racetrack. So these guys have no clue if it's going to be a pretty tight or loose go-kart.
First lap complete. Kai Mars will move up into P2 with De Janeiro moving back to P3. Caleb Tracy in 4th position. Danny O'Gara will round out your top 5 as the field now starts to work their way towards turn number 5 and 6. We see Marco Samet is currently holding strong by about 0.3 of a second over Kai Mars as they approach up to the top of the hill of turn number 6. Down they will go. Kai Mars really trying to put the pressure down to see if he can close the gap between him and Marco Samet.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these go-karts, really low horsepower, so that's why you're seeing Enzo De Janeiro and Kai Mars working really well together, and they have closed that gap. They are now all over Marco Samet as they head into the 180 switchbacks.
Through the 180 switchback, they will go. They continue to do battle here for position here in your micro class. Marco Samet now lost all that big lead he had. Kai Mars is now going to try to lock bumpers with him and see if they can pull away from Enzo De Janeiro to see if they can make it a 2-horse race for this pre-finals for the micros.
Yeah, Marco Samet dropped the tire there as they headed onto the straightaway, and that's why Kai Mars has got such a big run. I don't think he's going to make a move, though. I think he's just going to push Marco Samet, try to get away from Enzo De Janeiro, because if you can make it a 2-horse race, then obviously the worst you could do is second.
It certainly is here as they come across the line. Currently, your biggest mover of the race is Gage Harden, who's picked up 2 spots since starting in P10. As we watch them, Kai Mars just set the fastest lap of the race with a 1:14.337, about 0.3 of a second faster than Marco Samet.
Yeah, I think you're going to see these guys just kind of work together because obviously the pre-final sets the grid for your feature race, so you don't want to have any contact in this race that can hamper your starting position for the final.
It certainly is the case here. Of course, any damage, they will have to start towards the tail end of the longest line. And, of course, it is going to be a much longer, grueling race, 16 minutes plus 2 laps for these micro drivers and as well as every driver who's competing here today at New Jersey Motorsports Park for the Stars Championship Series. As we see Kai Mars trying to get closer to the back bumper. There you see Enzo DiGennaro in picture there, trying to keep pace. You just saw Caleb Tracy and Danny O'Gara in the 4th and 5th spot, trying to see if they can work together to close up to your top 3.
Yeah, Kai Mars all over the bumper of Marco Samet, but looking a little further back, looks like teammates working together in 4th and 5th position there. See if they can close the gap to the leaders.
Caleb Tracy having a great run. He just ran his personal best lap last time by, along with Danny O'Gara, as they continue to try to work together. Out of the final corner, here they come. It's going to be Samet and Mars across the line. Enzo DiGennaro still holding strong in 3rd. He loses a little bit of touch on those straightaways, but once they get through the corners, he really picks up the pace.
Yeah, I mean, looks to me like Enzo DiGennaro might have a bit of a higher gear. I mean, obviously, like you said, cannot keep up in the straights, but when it comes to the corners, he closes that gap all the way back up.
He certainly does. As a little bit of a problem with the 55 machine. That's Caleb Tracy. His day is done, as he might have possibly lost the gears on that possibly and has to now end his day for the pre-finals.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people lose chains recently. I don't know what's going on. Either it's a really bumpy racetrack or just maybe a bit of contact in the corner. But unfortunately, Caleb Tracy, after a really strong opening few laps, out of this race.
Tough break. You can see the emotion on Caleb here as he is out of the race and not too happy about that, as he will work his way out of harm's way off the track here. As we watch here the battle for P1 between Samet, Mars, and DiGennaro, your top 3. They have been the class of the field now as they work out of the final few corners, approaching towards that long straightaway where we'll see some great opportunity.
Yeah, Kai Mars just being really smart right now, pushing Marco Samet away from Enzo DiGennaro. Kai Mars comfortable to sit there right now. He knows that if they can push, 2 carts are faster than 1.
It certainly is the case here as they come across the line here, and it's now going to be 5 minutes put up on the clock, approaching the halfway point, plus the additional 2 laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. We're happy to have you with us here on the coverage here on Kart Chasers. And, of course, we'll make sure to follow all of our action throughout the week as well as throughout the rest of the year here on Kart Chasers as the field works their way through turns number 4 and 5, approaching to the top of the hill of turn number 6.
Yeah, obviously with Caleb Tracy out of the race now, that left Danny O'Gara by himself. So he's going to be pretty vulnerable to guys like Jake Nalio, maybe even Chris Lavoie in 6th position.
Yeah, Jake Melio is now a little bit under 0.6 of a second behind Danny O'Gara to see if he can try to work with him and close that gap. They about 4.6 seconds separated from your top 3 currently as they approach to the first of the 180 switchbacks. And once again here, working their way up to the middle of that corner and then set up for the long stretch here to head towards the start-finish line as they work their way through. Great racing action is working their way down to the corner right here. Samet and Mars now have stretched that lead out just a little bit over Enzo as they come through the final few set of corners. Great run right through here. Will Samet hold strong, or will Mars try to find a way to make sure he can stay up towards the front of the field?
Yeah, I think Mars is going to sit there for most of this race because he knows that they've built a decent gap to Enzo DiGennaro. But Enzo, again, really, really strong in turn 1. He's just keeping himself in play in case there's contact.
It certainly is here, and they are definitely trying to make sure they keep that contact, keep that a little bit of a distance between themselves and Enzo as they work out of turn number 5, approaching the top of the hill of turn number 6. Here they come up to the top of the hill. Enzo trying to keep pace with your top 2 as they work their way through the little bit of a chicane here, head down towards this long back straightaway as they head over to the first of the 2 180 switchbacks. Here as they come, a little bit of a defensive line 4 we see by Samet to keep Kai Mars behind him as they head into that first 180. A little bit of a gap, about a cart length, and still no pressure from behind currently. They're just going to ride it out and hold strong through this section.
Yeah, Marco Samet looking back more often than I usually see him, so he's definitely feeling the pressure a little bit, but he's answered the calls so far. Kai Mars comfortably sitting there, just biding his time. He knows what it takes to win races.
Kaimar's definitely one of the top drivers in the Stars Championship Series in this class. He has definitely been able to showcase his talents here all season long as they come out of the final corner, working their way through. A little over 7 minutes complete, 4.5 minutes left to go, plus the additional 2 laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. There's your top 3 line, nose to tail, all the way through as they come through turns 2 and 3. And there you see DeGennaro show the nose a little bit, not close enough to make anything work, just trying to see where he can find that opening once he gets there.
Yeah, Enzo DeGennaro absolutely flying right now. Last time by, 3/10 quicker than leader. He goes purple, the only guy in the 113 so far. He's finally back in the tow now, and that's going to put him right into play for this win.
Currently, right now, a couple of other drivers who have been working their way up to the field. Gage Harden has picked up 3 spots since the start of the race. He's now up to P7. And as well, of course, Caleb Tracy, the only car out of today's race. Griffin Volchek has picked up 1 spot. Chris Lavoie, Jake Malinelli, and Danny O'Gara as well picking up 1 spot as well throughout this race so far. As they work their way down through the second of the 180 switchbacks, they now approach towards the back half of the course. And there you see Kai Mars just poking and prodding a little bit, trying to find that little nick in the armor to see if he can Enzo DeGennaro, your top 3. This is, of course, watching here live on screen on Kart Chasers, your micro pre-finals. And as we still have a lot of racing action left to go here, we have, of course, the Rock KA Masters, of course, later today, and then, of course, some of the shifter kart action. As one kart around, who is that right here? If we can get a good zoom in on that, the 13 machine or 23 machine. I think that was Kai Mars.
I believe that might have been.
Nope, there's Kai over there.
Might have been Gage Harden.
Gage Harden, another car out of the race. A tough break for Gage here as they work their way through. Marco Samet, still your race leader over Kai Mars, and then also Enzo DeGennaro as we have a yellow flag out over there by the start finish to let the drivers know that there is going to be some issues here as they come across the line. It is going to be closing in on a few minutes left to go. Make it 2 minutes left to go here in the race.
Yeah, we're seeing really a strong pace from this top 3, lapping over a second faster than anybody else on the field right now. These guys just line astern, nose to tail. They just know they need to keep pulling away from the guys in 4th.
They certainly do as we watch on the action here today from New Jersey Motorsports Park as they work their way through the top of turn number 6. Down the hill they go. It's Samet, Mars, DeGennaro, your top 3. Then you got to go another 8 seconds back to Danny O'Gara and Jake Malinelli, and then another 10 seconds back to Chris Lavoie.
Yeah, just to confirm there, I believe that was actually Oliver Guernsey who was out of the race, not Gage Harden. Gage Harden's actually up 3 positions in 7th now, so good run from him.
Very good run from him as he is your biggest mover of the race. So 2 cars out of the race so far here for your pre-finals for the micro category as they work their way down towards the back half of the course through the final few corners. There you see the blue and green machine, number 3 of Marco Samet, leading the charge. He has led every single lap, but here comes Kai Mars. He's going to put the bumper to him and push him through the final few corners. Here we go. It's coming up 1 minute left to go for these competitors as they cross the line. So 3 laps to go here at New Jersey.
Yeah, I'm be very interested to see where Kai Mars decides to make his move, because obviously right now they got a bit of a gap to Enzo DeGennaro, but it seems to be every couple of laps Enzo closes that gap back up. So Kai Mars wants to make his move before Enzo gets to him.
He certainly does here as they work their way through turn 4 and 5 as they come up to the top of turn number 6. Here they go. Kai Mars really trying to put the pressure on him, trying to find a way to get around here in the closing minutes at New Jersey. As they work through the chicane, they will now go pushing each other to try to pull away from the 99 of Enzo DeGennaro.
Yeah, Marco Samet ran a little bit wide there on the exit of the hairpin. I thought Kai Mars for a second will take a look, but he won't. Kai Mars is continuing to push Marco Samet, obviously with at least 3 laps to go right now in this race.
It's going to be now the 2 to go signal when they come across the line here as we are crossing over into the 12-minute mark here at New Jersey for your micro category. As they work down the back half of the course, Samet has about a cart length advantage over Kai Mars, but here he comes, Kai Mars with a head of steam along with Enzo DeGennaro. Your top 3 as one cart is also off the track once again. Don't know who that one was, but as they work their way through the final corner, it is going to be Samet, Mars. We're going to see the flagman with the popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go here at New Jersey.
Yeah, like I said, here comes Enzo DeGennaro once again. closing the gap on Kai Mars. Kai Mars will know that he's there, so hopefully doesn't have to defend too much because that'll give Marco Samet a decent-sized lead if he starts defending.
He is going to try to start defending as best that he can as the field works their way around the circuit through turns 4 and 5 here. And as they continue to work their way up to the top of the hill at turn 6, DeGennaro shows the nose a little bit, not close enough to make anything work though.
Yeah, Marco Samet, a slight defense in the hairpin. You can do that as it's a little bit of an uphill corner, so defense doesn't cost you too much there as he actually extends his lead just a little bit from Kai Mars.
He definitely does try to extend that lead just a little bit further as they work their way through around the circuit. And as they continue to, here they come into the 180 switchback, working their way through the first one. Now approaching the second one, they're going to work their way through. Still going to be lined up nose to tail this time around.
Yeah, it's really, really good racing from the MicroStars guys right now. These guys driving super smart. They know they just need to finish this race because obviously this sets the grid for the future race, and they want to be the top 3.
They certainly do, and I believe that other car that was off on the track had to go to Griffin Bukic, who is in that 9th position. It looks like his day is done. White flag in the air one more time around here in New Jersey, and it's now game time for Caleb, Marco Samet, Kai Mars, and Enzo DeGennaro as they work over into turns 1 and 2. They're going to go nose to tail. A little bit of a distance between Marco Samet. Could this be the opportunity he needs to pull away from the field?
Yeah, it was a little bit of contact from Enzo and Kai there, and actually, Kai, really, really good save. I thought he was going to go around there in turn 1. That's opened the gap to Marco Samet just a little bit, but obviously if Enzo pushes Kai up to Marco, he still has a chance in this pre-final.
He certainly does as they come down the hill through turn number 6 and work their way through. He still has about a 3 or 4 cart length advantage over Kai Mars. Here comes Enzo DeGennaro. He's going to go and try to make the long way around. He'll complete the pass in the position, move him up to P2 as he now tries to focus on the driver in the lead of Marco Samet in the green and blue 3 machine. As they work, here comes Kai Mars. He'll show the nose, give a little poke and prod to see if he can try to get back to the inside of that 99 machine. Out of the final few corners, Marco Samet is grinning from ear to ear because he knows he has a shot to win here in the pre-finals as they come to the final few corners. It is a big gap between your top 3 now as they come down this short chute over to the final 2 corners. Marco Samet is going to come out of the final corner and pick up the pre-final win here in New Jersey.
Wow, what a last lap there. Enzo DeGennaro picking up the pieces after Kai Mars went a little wide in turn 1. He finishes 2nd. Kai Mars, round up your top 3 and 3rd. We have to wait a little bit now as Jake Benaglio crosses the line to finish 4th. Daniel Gara is going to pass Jake Benaglio on the final lap. He's going to finish 4th. Jake Benaglio in 5th. As we wait now for 6th place, who I believe is going to be Chris Lavoie. Caleb Smith is going to be in 7th position. Gage Harden, good run from him, up 2 positions to finish in 8th.
It certainly looks like to be the case here. As here they come across the line. Next up is going to be Chris Lavoie in P6 position, waiting on Caleb Smith and Gage Harden. As here they come across the line. Who comes out on top? Caleb Smith and Gage Harden, as Griffin Bukic will not finish the race. He will DNF along with Oliver Guernsey and Caleb Tracy. Not too happy about his results as well. Well, with that, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but don't worry, we'll be back for more action. It's shifter kart time here from the Stars New Jersey Thunder and Lightning Championship Series for Stars here on Kart Chasers.
How you doing? My name is Mike Doty from Mike Doty Racing from Orange County, New York. We're about an hour north of New York City. We're a full-service kart shop that we supply IAME, Rotax, and all rock engines. We sell OTK parts and all the tires for all the different series. We support USPKS, SCUSA, Rotax, which is the Stars and Stripes, and the Rock Winter Tour. What we do is we try to get the drivers better by data, driver coaching, and setup. We have a lot of good drivers that come through our program. We have a lot of experience. I've been doing it for almost 35 years, and we just try to translate that to all our customers.
For more info about Mike Doty Racing, you can contact us at mikedotyracing@gmail.com or call us at 845-551-0572.
Karting is one of the most intense forms of motorsport, and if you manage a racetrack or commercial facility, you know how hard it is to find good help. Let us introduce to you our newest track safety product, the 4-flag light system from Pixelcom. Pixelcom products are incredibly affordable, and our plug-and-play system makes the only requirements lights and a wireless remote. The ability to upgrade your system with intuitive software and additional products makes this the perfect system for tracks of all sizes. Communicating with drivers on track will make your program run more smoothly and, most importantly, increase safety dramatically once deployed. Find us online today at tracksystemsna.com and let us elevate your motorsport.
Welcome to the Stars Championship Series live for the Thunder and Lightning event here at New Jersey's Motorsports Park. And I got to say, Alex, it has definitely been a Thunder and Lightning event all weekend long. But thankfully, looking at the forecast for this afternoon for the finals, no chance of rain, no chance of thunderstorms. So fingers crossed, we're hopefully able to get all the action in today. But it's now time for the next class, the KZ Rock Masters. It's shifter kart time here on Kart Chasers.
Yeah, obviously yesterday's results, Mike Rivera was your winner in the heat race. He was able to hang on to the lead after Scott Presti put on a decent fight with him, but towards the end of the race, he was able to pull away just a little bit.
It certainly is. With that, while the field is getting ready to go out there on the track, we'll give you your starting lineup here for the KZ Rock Masters. It's going to be Mike Rivera on the front row with Scott Presti. We talked to him a little bit earlier on before the action here today. He's pretty confident about going out there to go against Mike Rivera for the race win here in the pre-finals and final event. Robert Feig will be in third position with Hugh Templeton starting in P4. Morn Van Tak will be starting in fifth position with Joseph Cantina in sixth position. John Stapleton and Safit Hatik II looking to see if he can rebound after a dismal heat race for him in eighth position.
Yeah, obviously, like you said earlier, I mean, obviously, this race, some of these master guys, they call it an endurance race. Some of these guys they want to be able to last until the final. And you're going to see a bit of tire saving, a bit of endurance going on with these two guys. Obviously, right now, the class of the field seems to be Mike Rivera and Scott Presti, though.
It certainly is going to be that case here as we're going to wait and see who will be able to come out on top. Of course, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time here on Kart Chasers, this is, of course, the shifter kart category where we will see about 12 minutes of racing for the pre-finals and then a final 2 additional laps here before the finals later on today. It's going to be 16 minutes plus an additional 2 laps of racing. So that's just going to be, we're going to bump it up a little bit more for each time we go racing here throughout the day. Of course, we do have one more class after the Rock Masters here. And then, of course, we will then take a quick lunch break. And then it is time to get ready for the finals as the karts are now making their way out to the track to get ready for the whole shot run here later on as they're getting themselves set up ready to go.
Yeah, obviously, these guys being shifter karts, standing starts for this pre-final. It's going to be interesting to see who gets the whole shot. Yesterday, it was actually Mike Rivera, or no, sorry, it was Scott Presti who got the whole shot. Mike Rivera just stood in second for a little bit, was able to just capitalize on a few mistakes from Scott Presti. If Scott Presti, like you said, looking to clean up his driving just a little bit, if he can do that, he might be able to challenge Mike for the win.
Of course, if you are a fan of all things when it comes to Kart Chasers, make sure to hit that subscribe button as well as also the like. Follow all of our action on social media as well on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see more of the great action we have to cover. Of course, we got a lot of great racing action. Next week, we head out to Joliet, Illinois for the Route 66 series. The following week, we take a week off. Then we go to Newcastle for the USPKS action. And then we wrap up the month of September with the TSR season finale at Speed Sport Under the Lights.
Yeah, these guys are heading onto the track right now. Be interesting to see who gets the whole shot this time. I'm going to put my bets on Mike Rivera here. I think Mike's going to be able to rebound from yesterday's pretty bad start that he had. He fell back a few spots entering turn 1, but he ended up winning the race anyways.
It certainly is. We're going to keep an eye on that here as they get ready to go for racing action here at New Jersey. This is the third round of the championship. We still have one more event later on this year to see who will come out as the champions for each and every single one of these classes here. No definitive champion will be crowned, of course, this weekend. We'll have to wait and see what will happen. But, of course, with that second heat race pulled out for yesterday for a lot of the classes, that changes the championship picture for a lot of competitors.
Yeah, obviously, without a Heat 2, that's a few points that some guys missed out on. So some of these guys are probably a little upset that we didn't get a Heat 2. Obviously, nobody's fault but the weather, so nothing they can do about it. But now all their focus is on this hole shot. Super important in the shifter race. You do not want to stall it or your race is most likely over.
It certainly is here as the drivers get lined up, ready to go for racing here. As they get themselves set up, one of our race officials just happily letting them go. Signal is given, waiting for the lights to go. We're happy to have you with us here on Kart Chasers for shifter kart action. Waiting for the light. And we're waiting. And it's lights out, and away we go, and a great jump by Mike Rivera, who was able to come out along with Scott Presti, who pulls out a beautiful jump on the field as they work their way across through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, once again, Scott Presti gets the hole shot on Mike Rivera. He seems to have these starts just dialed in right now. Mike Rivera, again, a little bit slow on the reactions there. Didn't cost him too much, but he's down in second place.
He is certainly down in second place, but will Mike Rivera be able to catch up to Scott Presti like he did in the heat race number 1 yesterday during the action? As one driver had the big stall right there. Is that the 611 machine that had a big issue, or the 688?
I think that was Morin Van Tak, I believe, who maybe didn't downshift enough in that corner, because obviously a really, really slow exit. He seemed to look at his motor for a second there, but I believe it was just a missed gear.
Of course, Morin Van Tak running the KZ Master machine, of course, and as well as Scott Presti, who is your race leader, Mike Rivera running the Rock motors, of course, here in his race. He is going to try to see if he can chase down Scott Presti here in these next 12 minutes, make it 11 minutes now as they come out of the final few corners here. Pitting speeds close to over 80 miles an hour as they come out of the final corner. First lap compete is going to be Scott Presti, your race leader. Mike Rivera, second. Robert Feig in third position. Morin Van Tak is in fourth position with Joseph Cantina. John Stapleton rounding out your top 6.
Yeah, a bit of a deja vu here for Scott Presti. Yesterday, the same scenario. Got a really, really good hole shot, but then just couldn't hold on to the lead. Same thing right now as Scott Presti got a really good start, but obviously already Mike Rivera closing that gap.
Mike Rivera already closing that gap even more so. It's under 0.4 of a second between your top 2 as they work their way out of turn number 6, heading down the long straightaway, heading towards the 2 180 switchbacks. Here they come, downshifting to set up the corners. Here comes Mike Rivera with a big send, not able to make anything happen through the first 180.
Yeah, a little bit of an ambitious late move there for Mike Rivera. Didn't pay off. He lost a bit of ground here. He needs to just bide his time. He's been really smooth all weekend, really smart with his racecraft. So let's see if he can just close that gap after that little mistake there.
A little bit of a mistake, gathers it back up, tries to get into setup for this run here to the finish. 10 minutes left to go on the clock as they work their way through into the next set of corners. They'll work their way across out of the final corner, across the start-finish line. We'll see what the gap is between your top 2 as Mike Rivera sets the fastest lap of the race with a 103.917, 0.3 of a second between your top 2.
Yeah, Robert Feig actually kind of matched the leader's lap time last time by. I know yesterday, towards the end of the race, he was quicker than the leaders, just too far back to make anything do anything with that. So let's see if he can keep this pace up and maybe close the gap to Mike Rivera.
He's about 0.2 off the pace compared to Mike Rivera and a 1/10 off the pace from Scott Presti. So he has a little bit of work to do here. 1.7 is the difference.
Yeah, obviously looking a little further back. Morin Van Tak in fourth position, up a spot, so pretty good start for him. Hugh Templeton down a spot, and then no changes from 6th, 7th, and 8th. Joseph Cantina, John Stapleton, and Safet Haddock, who at least is in the race. Yesterday was not able to finish.
He was not able to. He didn't even take the start of the race here, and that was unfortunate indeed for Safet Haddock, who is trying to see if he can recover and bounce back from the action here today in the KZ Rock Masters category for your action here for the pre-finals as we watch on the battle for the race lead between Scott Presti and Mike Rivera. Heading out of the final corner across the start-finish line is going to be now down to 1/10 or a 1/10 of a second between the two competitors now. 1/15 of a second now as they work their way across the line. And setting up, here comes Mike Rivera looking to find an opening to get around Scott Presti, the 522 machine against the 608. Will it be a same thing happening as a big slide by Presti?
Yeah, they need to be careful though, because this racing right now is allowing Robert Feig to close the gap. Robert Feig last time by 3/10 quicker than Scott Presti and 1/10 quicker than Mike Rivera. So he has closed that gap just a little bit. The two leaders right now seem to be sliding a lot right now. Either their tire pressures are a little too low for the race as we look, and I believe that is
that's a 580 or 591.
Yeah, 591 of Joseph Catania is out of the race. Unfortunate for him. He had a pretty decent start. Didn't move up any positions, but just at least he was in 6th. Now he's out of the race.
A tough break for Joseph Catania, who will now have to fight his way back hard through the finals. He'll have to take a look at that car to see what's going on as we go back up front to the field and make sure we keep an eye on this battle for the race lead between Presti, Rivera, and Feig as he is trying to close that gap as they come across the start-finish line. Now Robert's starting to fall off the pace a little bit. It's now 2 seconds now as your top 2 is starting to get locked up and ready to go.
Yeah, when you speak to these drivers, they all call it the endurance race for these guys. I mean, obviously the Masters guys, they just want to make it to the final at this point, endurance-wise. And I wonder if Robert Feig is feeling the arms a little bit there.
That's one of the things I talk to a lot of the drivers for the Masters category in each of the major classes that we have is making sure you have the endurance and make sure you don't lose any of that endurance for you in these runs because this track, even though it's one of the biggest tracks we have on our circuit, it is a very demanding circuit, even with these straightaways. A lot of bumps on the circuit that can jostle you around in these karts that you have to be so careful of where you put the car. I talked to one of our other shifter kart category drivers, Josh Conker, who definitely was telling us that, especially out of turn number 6, you see the car actually just bounce a lot more down that back straightaway.
Yeah, these shifter guys, a lot of grip and a lot of speed, and you combine that, and it makes it a really brutal ride for these guys.
As we watch the field work their way across the field, Scott Presti drops the hammer with a 103.822. He now is a 10th faster than the fastest lap by Mike Rivera, who is still holding on in 2nd place, 4/10 of a second back from him as Robert Feig still holds on to 3rd position. He has an 8-second advantage over Morn Van Tok and Hugh Templeton.
Yeah, looking at the attitude of the two karts, Scott Presti right now seems to be just a little smoother than Mike Rivera, and it's really paying off right now.
It certainly is as we watch here the field working their way down towards the next set of the 180 switchbacks here. Once again, Presti still your race leader here as we are approaching the halfway point of today's race for the pre-finals. 6 minutes complete, 6 minutes plus 2 laps to go left here in the KZ Rock Master category as they work their way through. We still have at least 1 or 2 more classes left to go before we take our lunch break. And then it's finals time here for everyone for the action here on Kart Chasers for the Star Championship Series. As they work their way out of the final corners, here comes Scott Presti. He is starting to stretch it out just a little bit more, but one of the things we need to talk about a little bit, Alex, is what could Mike Rivera do? Is he trying to cool off the tires a little bit and make sure he has enough to make it for the finish to make a charge, or is he just trying to focus on the finals for later on today because he knows he has the pace to go up against Scott Presti?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the attitude of Mike Rivera right now, he seems to be just full charge, full send every corner. He's sliding in and out of the corners, so clearly he wants to go for that win. I don't think there's any cooling of the tires going on in Mike Rivera's mind right now. Obviously, if I was in his position, I would try to save the tires just a little bit because these tires really sticky, but they seem to fall away if you push them too hard.
That's certainly the case. Of course, Mike Rivera looking to sweep the weekend here. He won, of course, the pole position. He won, of course, also in the heat race number 1, the only heat race that we had for the Rock and KA Masters category here. So we'll see what he can do and see if he can go for the sweep and try to take the pre-finals win as he comes out through the back half of the course, working his way through. He's picked up the pace a little bit. Can he respond with another fast lap from Scott Presti last time by as they come out of the final corner, working out of there, across the line they'll go. Scott Presti comes across, and of course a big pickup, a personal best for Mike Rivera, so he does respond, but just does not set the fastest lap, a 103.91. He's a 10th faster than Scott Presti.
Yeah, I love watching Mike Rivera through that final corner. He's always on the limit, dropping tires every once in a while on the grass. He is giving it everything to try to pass Scott Presti.
He certainly is. As we watch on, Morten Van Tok picks up a position over Hugh Templeman to move into the 4th position right now. So he is definitely trying to be on the charge, but he has a lot of work to do to try to see if he can catch up. Keeping an eye on some of the other drivers here on the track. We're waiting for John Stapleton and Safit Hadek II to come across the line to see what their gap is as well, because everyone's kind of spaced out already, except for this battle for the race lead of your competitors of Scott Presti and Mike Rivera.
Yeah, right now these top 2 are the class of the field. Robert Feig just doesn't have the pace to hang with these guys, 4 seconds back. And then 4th place, Morn Van Tok. He's picked up a spot in this race, but just consistently about a second and a half, 2 seconds off the pace of leaders.
And would like to make a quick note on this. Safid Hadek, he is done for the day. So another tough break for Hadek, the second, in order to be able to try to recover from the heat race he had earlier yesterday where he couldn't even start. He's not going to finish this one as well.
Mike Rivera went for a really late lunge in turn 2. It didn't work out. Got the car all sideways under braking, and it actually cost them in the long run. They're exiting turn 3.
Up to the top of the hill at turn number 6. You watch your top 2. 3 minutes left to go on the clock. So looking at maybe 4, maybe 5 laps to go in this event because they are setting times just shy of a minute. So we could see about 4 laps left to go for your competitors.
Yeah, right now Mike Rivera's kart seems to be just dialed in a little bit more for the late run because he seems to be closing that gap just a little bit to Scott Presti. But I'm watching the hands of Mike Rivera, and he's making a lot of mistakes, hitting the curbs a little too hard, I think, and it's just upsetting the go-kart.
Now, one of the things we've been seeing all week, or for today at least, for pre-finals, is drivers who have ended up losing that chain because of hitting the curbs a little too hard. That could be a problem for Mike Rivera here in these closing stages if he keeps hitting those curbs a little too hard.
Yeah, hopefully not. Now, obviously, losing a chain is not the most common thing. I mean, if you tighten your gear guard and tighten the gears down, you shouldn't be losing the chains too often. So I'm curious to see why we've lost so many chains this morning. I don't know if it's just contact, maybe cart to cart, or if it is just the curbs are that abrasive and the track is just that rough right now.
Certainly is the case here, as we see Scott Presti has stretched it out quite a ways. As where is Mike Rivera? He is nowhere inside of our camera angles.
Oh, I think he made a mistake. He is still at least in the race. I was thinking a commentator's curse for a second there on a chain, but he's just fallen back just a little bit. I think he went a little wide in 3, and that's cost him quite a bit.
There he is, as you saw him just barely out of camera angle, so he has lost all that time, and I think it's safe to say for Mike Rivera, he is, unless we see Scott Presti make a mistake, he is not going to be able to catch up to him for this race win.
Yeah, right now, if I was Scott Presti and Mike Rivera, I'd look around and I realize Scott Presti's got this win pretty much in the bag. If he looks around, he's got probably about a 2-second lead if I had to guess. These guys should cool the tires down, do a bit of tire saving for the feature race.
3 laps left to go on the clock here. It is now 1.7 seconds separating between Presti and Rivera as they work their way through turn number 2 and 3. It's now just all about hitting your marks for Scott Presti to be able to come out on top with a pre-final win here in the KZ Rock Masters category as they work their way up to the top of the hill at turn number 6.
Yeah, nothing's ever guaranteed in racing. I mean, obviously Mike Rivera made a mistake last lap. Seems to me he made a little bit of a mistake there in that corner. So that corner's given him some trouble this race.
Could be the tires giving him a little bit of trouble. As we talked about earlier, he was really slipping and sliding a lot in those early stages, and now it's safe to say it has caught him and bit him hard for this incident for him, as we're now seeing Scott Presti catch up to John Stapleton to put him 1 lap down on the track, as Stapleton will now give way and move out of the way of our race leader, Scott Presti.
Yeah, like you mentioned, obviously earlier in the race, Mike Rivera was sliding through the corners. It looked exciting, and it might have been pretty quick to start the race, but obviously right now, it's caught him. It's caught up to him, and it's costing him in this race.
And we're going to go another lap here, so it's going to be 3 laps here to go in the race as the field comes across the start-finish line. And Robert Feige sets a new personal best for him, a 104.096, so a great drive for him in 3rd position, comfortably ahead of Morn Van Tak, who's trying everything, but really not setting the pace to go and challenge for the podium.
Yeah, really interesting there from Robert Feig. Just like yesterday, his pace came in the last few laps. I mean, a 14.0 is really close to what we saw earlier in the race from the 2 leaders. So obviously, if Robert Feig can just find that pace throughout the race, he might be able to catch up to these leaders and maybe give them a run for their money.
What's one of the things maybe that we could see, Alexander, for Robert to make adjustments to be able to be there from the actual start of the race to the finish?
Well, either what we're witnessing right now is either maybe some tire saving for the feature race, or tire pressure's a little too low to start the race and he couldn't find the grip that he needed, and now they've come in, but obviously a little too late as he's 5 seconds off the lead.
He certainly is. As the time has expired, we are now getting ready to get the 2 lap to go signal from the flagman down there at start-finish line. Popsicle 6 in the air. 2 laps to go here at New Jersey.
Yeah, Scott Presti still putting in some pretty decent lap times, about a 10th faster than Mike Rivera, but again, 4 tenths slower than Robert Feig. Robert Feig is actually catching your leader, obviously 5 seconds off the pace, so he won't get there. But Robert Feig putting in really competitive lap times in the end of this race.
He certainly is, and one thing, he's closing in on Mike Rivera. 1.8 seconds separate the two, so we'll see what it is when they come out onto the last lap, what the gap will be between your top two here in these closing laps here, as we see Scott Presti pull away once again from the field. Now it's now 3.2 seconds separating your top two at this time as the field works their way down out of the 180 switchbacks to the first one. He'll go. Scott Presti just smooth sailing here in this run.
Yeah, with Robert Feig that quick in a late run, Mike Rivera cannot just sit there and relax a little bit. He can't afford another mistake like he had 2 laps ago. Otherwise, it might cost him second position.
Here they come through the back half of the course to the final corners. Scott Presti comfortably pulling away from his rival Mike Rivera this weekend. Out of the final corner, Flagman has a white flag in the air. One more time around for Scott Presti.
Yeah, let's see if we can get to Mike Rivera here. I'll be curious to see what he ran last time by. 1:04.5, so about a tenth slower than Scott Presti. And again, Robert Feig now slower than Mike Rivera, so he seems to be able to put in good lap times and then just falls off just a little bit. I don't know if that's an endurance thing or that's a kart setup thing. We'll have to maybe talk to him after the race.
We'll have to try to see what's going on for Robert here, to see what he can try to do to get ready for the finals here once again as they work their way out of turn number 6 for the final time. There you see Mike Rivera trying to see what he can do, but has nothing to respond to Scott Presti. We talked to Presti a little bit before he got out there on the track. He said he made some adjustments. Well, it looks like those adjustments came in for the better for him. Through the 180 switchback for the final time here in the pre-finals. He is smooth sailing, pulling away. It's going to be a win possibly for the KZ Master Class here driver as they work through the final few sets of corners. It was a Rockmaster, Mike Rivera, who won the heat races and the pole, but for the KZ Master driver of Scott Presti, he's going to come through the final few set of corners, pounding away another great run here today. Out of the final corner, checkered flag for Scott Presti. He will win the pre-finals for the KZ Rock Masters. Next up will be, of course, none other than Mike Rivera. Robert Feig will come home to round out your podium. Then we have a little bit of ways to wait for the next few drivers of Morn Van Tak and Hugh Templeton, who will round out your top 5.
Yeah, good run there from Scott Presti. After yesterday's really good start, he didn't seem to have the overall pace to match Mike Rivera, but in this race, those setup changes, like you mentioned earlier, seemed to work in his favor as he's got a pretty commanding win there. So that was a good run from Scott Presti.
It certainly was a phenomenal run here for Scott Presti to see what he can do. Mike Rivera, as the rest of the field comes around the circuit. With that, though, we are going to take a quick commercial break, but don't worry, when we come back, it's going to be the KA Junior category ready to go. You are watching the Thunder and Lightning Stars Championship Series event from New Jersey's Motorsports Park, live on Kart Chasers.
Parolin USA, a top-level performance team with unmatched hospitality, offering a full-service driver development program with year-round testing available in Miami, Florida, and the official North America racing team of Parolin Racing Chassis. Chassis and parts available at ParolinUSA.com.
Welcome back to Kart Chasers coverage of the New Jersey Motorsports action, the Stars New Jersey Thunder and Lightning event. Here from the New Jersey Motorsports Park, Taylor Burris here along with Alexander Sorrell as we're getting ready for pre-final race number 7. KA Juniors out on the track. It's going to be Cooper Auclair, Sam Avrutsky in your top front row, followed by Anthony Rivera, Cole Wilson, Henry Wheeler, Austin Owens, Max Taylor, Wesley Gundler, John Antonoi, and of course Davin Roberts, your top 10 starters here out of the 20 plus. Make it 30 drivers starting in the KA Juniors.
Yeah, Max Taylor, winner of yesterday's heat race. We'll see I'll be interested to see what he can do. Obviously, yesterday he made up 12 positions in this class, so we'll see what he can do from, I believe, the 7th position.
Waiting to go here as they enter the start zone. Lights out, and away we go for the action. And right away, Cooper Auclair will try to go through as they enter turn 1. Chaos may ensue, but one cart around. That is going to be I believe, the 875 that goes around here on the circuit.
Yeah, the 825 of Valentin Radvickius. He didn't finish yesterday's race, and unfortunately, not a good start for him. He may not finish today's race either.
He's going to try to get it refired and try to rejoin the circuit, but he is stuck currently, got to turn it around, and it's not going to work out for him. He's going to have to pull it off the track as we're back up to the front of the field here, watching the action here, and it's now a pull away by Cooper Auclair and Sam Avrutsky, your main competitors who were strong yesterday in the heat races.
Yeah, a bit of contact for the guys in 4th and 5th. Some drivers were not happy with each other there. I mean, side-by-side through a corner where you can't really go side-by-side, and that's the result's going to happen.
It certainly is the case here as we watch the field of drivers try to work their way through the second of the 2 corners. That's the 820 machine who's right there. You just saw on screen as they work their way through. That was Mickey Winfrey who was working his way through as they watch up towards the front of the field, entering across the start-finish line. And it's going to be none other than our very own Cooper Auclair. Anthony Rivera moves up to P2. Henry Wheeler, Max Taylor, Sam Avrutsky, the biggest loser on that lap. 3 spot gain as we have one cart around right in the middle of the field.
Wow.
And another cart over there also as they enter into turn 1.
Very lucky to get away with no contact there as he slides across the track. That was pretty lucky there from that driver.
Very lucky indeed. That's the 875 machine who went around that. It's Isaiah Crawley who was able to get a loop back around and make sure she gets himself ready to go.
Wow, back up front, though, Max Taylor poked the nose there, and I believe Henry Wheeler couldn't make it stick. Max Taylor already up 3 positions. Like I said yesterday, he made up 12 spots to finish 2nd, and now he's already up 3 positions today in 4th position.
He certainly is. He is a man on a mission looking to see if he can come out on top here for the action. Been one of the fastest drivers all weekend long. Didn't really show it in qualifying, of course, because he started towards the back half of the field, but once the racing kicked off for the heat races, he took off like a rocket and was ready to fight through the field.
Yeah, I actually talked to Max after the race yesterday. I said, so what happened in qualifying? Why were you so quick in the heat? And he goes, I just didn't have a toe in the qualifying. That's why he qualified so far back. So again, shows the importance of having a draft here. As we look up front, Anthony Rivera going for P1, and he's made it stick. Your pole sitter from yesterday's qualifying back up to P1.
P1 for Anthony Rivera as Cooper Auclair falls back to P2. He tried to throw the block on Henry Wheeler, was able to make it stick for him as Wheeler, Taylor, and Avrutsky will now try to see what they can do to get around Cooper Auclair for that 2nd spot.
Yeah, a little bit of deja vu from qualifying. If Cooper Auclair can catch up to Anthony Rivera, those are your 2 fastest guys in qualifying from yesterday. Max Taylor, again, now up 4 positions into the 3rd spot. The Lando Norris BJR car is flying.
That Lando BJ Norris car is definitely working his way through the field as they watch on and keep an eye on the battles as they work through the first of the 180 switchback back up to the front of the field. There you see none other than Anthony Rivera leading the charge. He's got Henry Wheeler and Max Taylor right there in the mix of that battle for the race lead as they come towards the back half of the course, heading to the short chute for the final 2 corners here at New Jersey.
Yeah, I think John Antonino now up 4 positions at the 5th spot. He just passed Sam Avrutsky. Sam Avrutsky's had a pretty poor start to this race. He is now down 5 spots into 7th, so curious to see why he's falling back so much. I don't know if it's just aggression or maybe kart setup.
Could be a mix of both, as now we see a pass for the 2nd position once again. That's going to be Max Taylor picking up a spot. He moves up to P2.
Max Taylor again now up 5 positions into the second spot. So combined yesterday to today, he's made up, what is that, 17 positions in the last 2 races. Really good stuff from him.
Definitely going to have to receive the Driver of the Day award for all the hard work he's done all weekend long, from qualifying, fighting his way up in the heat race, and now challenging for a pre-final win here today at New Jersey as they work their way back into the 180 switchbacks. He's going to try and challenge for the race lead here with Anthony Rivera leading the charge.
Yeah, good to see Anthony Rivera back up front after yesterday's pretty poor heat for him. He got pushed around quite a bit, and he fell back almost outside the top 10. So right now, back where he belongs, up in first, where he qualified.
He is really putting the pressure on and trying to see what he can do here during this stage of the race as the field works their way through, down, out through the back half of the course. Out of the final corner they will go. It is going to be Rivera, then Max Taylor, then Cooper Auclair, Henry Wheeler, and John Antonino, who will now be your top 5 drivers here as they come across the line.
Yeah, looking further down, Ben Hernandez up 5 spots in the 14th. He's actually the fastest car on the racetrack right now, but a lot of action going on behind Cooper Auclair for that 4th position. I think Henry Wheeler is still holding on to 4th somehow.
Henry Wheeler really holding on and wheeling that cart around as we see a pass for position here into turn number 6. A beautiful job.
I believe that was Austin Olds on John Antonino there. Good move for him.
That was definitely a beautiful pass there by Austin Olds, who moves up into the top 5 there for the first time here today, as he will work up and try to see if he can have and challenge for a podium finish here in the pre-finals as they come back to the 180 switchbacks. Watching on the field is your top 3 of none other than Rivera, Taylor, and Auclair.
Yeah, the top 3 got a bit of a gap to Henry Wheeler. Henry Wheeler's just staying onto that toe to keep himself in play for this race.
Now, usually we think about when that toe is about maybe anywhere between right to the back bumper to maybe about 4 or 5 kart lanes. When do you start losing that draft effect for some of these competitors?
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on, the wind direction, everything. It seems to me this weekend, it's been quite a windy weekend, and so the toes seem to come into play from maybe even 8 car lengths back as Henry Wheeler, again, flying through the field. I mean, he's closed that gap quite a bit as we see a move. Cooper Auclair to the inside. Max Taylor in a bit of contact as he's going to hold the outside, which easily becomes the inside for turn 3, and he keeps 2nd position.
Max Taylor gives a quick look back to see where Cooper Auclair is trying to show his nose as they work up to the top of the hill of turn number 6. He is able to now break away by about a kart length over Cooper Auclair for that 2nd position now as they work out down the hill towards the back straightaway. Heads tucked down a little bit to set up for the kink as they head over to the 180 switchback.
Yeah, that racing has got a bit of a gap to Anthony Rivera, but that's easily closed. And Max Taylor, who's probably been the fastest car all weekend in this class, has already closed that back right up to Anthony Rivera.
Henry Wheeler now getting involved in the mix for the battle in 4th position, then throw in Austin Olds in 5th position. Right there, you see all 5 drivers on screen as they head out through the final back half of the course, approaching to the final 2 corners here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. There is Rivera. Max Taylor trying to put the hammer down to close the gap here. We are coming up as they come out of the final corner. 5 minutes to go plus 2 laps. Max Taylor shows the nose. Thanks, Bedorovic ducked back behind, tries to set up a pass, but could not make it work that time.
Wow, Ben Hernandez once again purple. He is up 9 positions in the P10 as Max Taylor goes to the inside of Anthony Rivera, takes the P1 spot away. Let's see if he can try to pull away now with the pace that he has.
New race leader. It's going to be Max Taylor. He's finally reached the summit here in the pre-finals. He now tries to lead the charge away as they come out of the final corner in turn number 6. Down the hill they'll go and work their way towards the kink.
Yeah, we have, I think, a 10-kart trainer now in KA Juniors. Anybody can win this race, and this is really good for guys like Ben Hernandez, who is up 9 spots and is the fast car on the racetrack right now. He is loving this racing up front because it's keeping him in play.
It certainly is. This is our biggest class. This is one of our most exciting classes, I've had to say, all day long so far, between Max Taylor being on the hard charge reward all weekend, Ben Hernandez, who sets the fastest lap and has gained the most spots in this race, and then, of course, you have Anthony Rivera, Cooper Auclair, their rivalry this weekend as well, as here comes Rivera putting the nose down on the back bumper of Max Taylor as they come out of the final corner. Who comes out and leads this lap? It will be Max Taylor as they come across the line here. It is now going to be under 4 minutes to go plus 2 laps.
Ben Hernandez once again in the double digits now for how many spots he's gained, up 10 spots into P9. He is absolutely flying. He's actually 6/10 faster than your leaders last time by.
Sam Abruzzi, though, definitely struggling out there on the circuit. He's now lost 8 spots in 10th position. Really needs to try to figure out what's going on with his number 824 machine as he has been struggling since the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to have the pace, really. I mean, his best lap is about a few tenths off of everybody else's. So, I mean, A guy who qualified, started this race P2, down in P10. Not what we want to see from Sam Britsky, who's one of the top talents in this class. As a bit of contact there, I believe that is...
That's the 820 or 802 machine. That's the Henry Wheeler machine who just gets moved out of the way by Austin Olds. As they're now going to go 2 by 2 now into the next corner. As there's a pass 4 position right there behind him.
That is Ben Hernandez. Once again, another position for him.
Ben Hernandez really dropping the hammer here in these final closing minutes now. Under 3 minutes to go as they come across the start-finish line here. It's going to be Taylor, Rivera, Cooper O'Clair, Henley Wheeler, Austin Olds, your top 5.
Yeah. Your 2 leaders right now put in their fast lap of the race. Personal bests for the top 2. They were 4 and 5/10 faster than Cooper O'Clair in third. So I don't know what happened to Cooper there. Maybe made a few mistakes there in that lap, but he's lost track of the leaders there.
He did by about 0.4 of a second. Separates your top 2 from third position of Cooper O'Clair, Henley Wheeler right there in hot pursuit, along with Austin Olds rounding out your top 5 as they come down the hill through turn number 6. It's still about a 5-car train for that first group, and then it's a gaggle of cars that is currently led by, I believe, Austin Olds, maybe. If not, it's the 6th car of Olivier Petit, who will now hold on in 6th position, who's gained 5 spots since the start of the race.
Yeah, Ben Hernandez just passed Cole Wilson, so move him to 7th position, up 12 now in this race. That's unbelievable stuff from him.
It certainly is. We saw the same action from Max Taylor yesterday, and we're now seeing it shown over to Ben Hernandez, who definitely is going to be one to watch in the finals later today as the field works towards the back half of the course. Max Taylor still holds strong as your race leader. Here they come out of the final corner now. Under 2 minutes ago, making a minute 38 as they cross the line, so about 4, maybe 3 laps to go here at New Jersey. Has another big send around the outside for one of our competitors.
Yeah, but now that becomes the inside for, I believe, Austin Olds, who's going to retain that lead. Cooper O'Clair now picked up the pace. He is caught up to your top 2. He put in his fast lap of the race about a 10th quicker than the leader. So here comes Cooper O'Clair.
Cooper O'Clair really now dropping the hammer here in these closing minutes and closing laps here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Here they come now. It's a 3-car breakaway of Taylor, Rivera, and O'Clair as they now start to pull over to the kink, heading over to the 180 switchback. These drivers are really dropping the hammer here with a minute to go.
Yeah, let's see what they can do on the 180 switchbacks. Max Taylor still holds the lead on Anthony Rivera. Cooper O'Clair putting the pressure, though, on Anthony Rivera. Cooper O'Clair and Anthony Rivera worked really well together in qualifying, so they know how well they work together. So let's see if they push past Max Taylor.
We're going to find out here as the field works their way out of the final few corners. They're going to now have to run another lap here. 30 seconds left to go on the clock. So that will mean a 3-lap dash to the finish here as they come across the line. It's still going to be Taylor. O'Clair just set a personal best. Ben Hernandez, 15 spots up now in P4.
Unbelievable stuff from Ben Hernandez. If these top 3 start racing, Ben Hernandez is in a position to win this pre-final, which I don't think he even would have thought of starting in P19.
I got to say, we got to talk to Ben Hernandez after this race is over with, because what a drive for him in the 808 machine as they work their way up to the top of the hill at turn number 6. Down the hill they go, working their way through. It's Taylor, Rivera, and O'Clair trying to break away. Heads tucked down a little bit to make sure they can get that arrow they need in order to pull away. Through the kink they'll go, down into the 180 switchback. It's now going to be still Taylor ahead of Rivera as he tries to show the nose, trying to set up a pass to set up for these final 2 laps. And the race goes Hernandez. Big R up over the wheels. As we see now some major nose damage to one of our competitors there.
Antonino, major nose damage. Let's see if he can even finish the race. I don't know if the officials will let him, but Ben Hernandez, all of the ground that he made up in that race, 15 positions to be exact, he just lost about 9 of them. Really unfortunate for him.
2 laps to go for Max Taylor now. It's going to be a hard charge, but a tough break for Ben Hernandez as he will lose all of that position, drop back outside of the top 10 from 0 all the way down to pretty much there. It's going to be a tough break for him as he now has to continue on.
Yeah, Ben Hernandez down in 15th position, so he's still up 4 from where he started, but all the ground lost. Back up front, though, Max Taylor still is your leader. Anthony Rivera hot in his tail. Cooper O'Clair not letting any of them get away.
He is not as they work their way through the kink out of the turn number 6, now heading over to the 180 switchback. It's still Taylor over Rivera. Rivera is now trying to hold off Cooper O'Clair, who gives them a big shunt down towards the 180 switchback. They back off a little bit, about a half a cart length between each of the 3 cars now as they work over to the second half of the 180 switchbacks and set up for the back half of the course for the final run. We're going to get the white flag from our flagman down there at the start-finish line to set up this final battle here for your KA Juniors for the pre-final event. And now as they work their way through, here comes Rivera with a big push. He wants to try to separate himself from Auclair and make it a 2-horse race.
Yeah, Cooper Auclair, though, has got the toe off of both of them, so he's right in the mix. Max Taylor looking over his shoulder, trying to figure out where Anthony Rivera is going to go. He holds position into turn 1. A little defensive, though. Anthony Rivera gets to the bumper of him. It's actually going to hamper his exit there a little bit and give Max Taylor just enough space to hold on to the lead.
He holds on once again here as they work through turns 2, 3, and 4. Out of turn number 5, they're going to set up. He has about a cart length advantage over Anthony Rivera. As they climb the hill up to turn number 6, they go over through the hairpin. Down the hill they'll go as they head through the switchback and back over to, once again, the kink.
Yeah, down towards the 2 180 switchbacks. Max Taylor looking over his shoulder both ways, trying to figure out which way Anthony Rivera wants to go. He goes defensive into the corner. Cooper Auclair all over Rivera's tail. Let's see if he makes a move into this switchback. He does. Late move from Cooper Auclair. Put him to P2.
Beautiful pass by Cooper Auclair, but no one is going to be able to catch Max Taylor as they come down the back half of the course. We watch the battle for second between Rivera and Auclair. We go up to our race leader, Max Taylor, who has stretched out that lead after those two decide to do battle as they come down the short chute out of the final corner. Max Taylor, one of your hard chargers all weekend long, will finally taste victory in the pre-finals here at New Jersey.
Yeah, what a run from Max Taylor, up 6 positions. At the line, though, Austin Olds finished P4. Oliver Piatek up 6 positions to finish in the 5th spot. Cole Wilson on the last lap put in his personal best to finish 6th. Henry Wheeler 7th. Mason Walters up 8 positions to finish in 8th. Aiden Patty up 5 to finish 9th. And Sam Mavrutsky unfortunately lost 8 spots to finish in 10th.
Tough break for Sam Mavrutsky. I'm pretty sure they're going to have to go back to the drawing board to see what's going on with that kart, why it did not want to work that well compared to the heat races. So we'll see what will happen as we now will take another commercial break before we go to our final pre-final event for action here today at New Jersey Motorsports Park. You are watching Kart Chasers coverage of the Stars New Jersey Thunder and Lightning Stars Championship Series.
Looking for a top-level team environment that fits your budget? Look no further than AMAX Racing. We cater to customers around the country who want driver coaching, tuning assistance, hospitality, track support, and a family race environment. Our race schedule is support available at all levels, from club and regional series across the Midwest to top-tier events such as the TKNA Grand Nationals, the U.S. Pro Kart Series, and the Scooter Pro Tour. Whatever level you may be at or want to get to, AMAX Racing can get you there.
As the Western importer of the Praga and Formula K chassis brands, Leading Edge Motorsports is a high-performance kart shop and race team with a simple mission: teach others the joy of high-performance driving, supply our customers with the highest quality products and services, and most of all, win races. With our remarkable racing inventory, expert services, and top-ranked national-level team to back it up, we'll help to get your new kart racing package up and running fast. From arrive and drive service to kart preparation and driver coaching to the parts you need to get you back on the racetrack, Leading Edge Motorsports is the industry answer.
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park. Millville, New Jersey is finally starting to look a little more like it did yesterday, with the sun starting to poke its way through the clouds. And we are ready for more shifter action to boot with the nice backdrop. You can see that the Stars Championship Series officiating team is lined up on the front straightaway. Let's take you through how they'll line up here for the pre-final today. Vincenzo Saraceno will start on the pole alongside Calvin Ming, yesterday's heat race winner. Row 2 will be Josh Conker aboard the Maranello 454, and then to his outside, Talon Yockel to make it an all Magic Kart USA outside lane for rows 2, 1, and 3. As row 3 will find Blake Hunt in the number 469 Formula K for Brandon Jarzacrack Racing, and Ravi Bajoso's Factory Magic Kart will start to his outside. Ian Quinn will start on the inside of row number 4 alongside another Magic Kart in Annie Rule. Quinn aboard the Barrel Art for QG3 Karting and Macron Motorsports with Robbie Campbell, Eric Hugh, and Brendan Melke rounding off the field. Pro Stars, you're set. Into the boxes, and to the lights we go. Vincenzo Saraceno, Calvin Ming, the front row trying to get the whole shot. Who will it be off the start? Ming, once again, a fantastic jump. This time, Talon Yockel with a much better start than where he's been most of the season. He'll rocket around the outside and go door to door and drag race Vincenzo Saraceno down to turn 3.
How about that jump right there by Calvin Ming? He has definitely been a man on the mission with the whole shot run here today as the field works their way out of turn number 2 and 3. Working up to the top of the hill at turn number 6 now. Great drive by Ming. Now Saraceno seeing what he can do now after a very not a good heat race for him yesterday.
Yeah, Vincenzo Saraceno was decent through the heat, but got beat off the start and then also made a handful of mistakes. We talked with him. We talked with Calvin Ming and Josh Conker throughout the day yesterday, talking about how difficult this racetrack is as we see Conker making a pass there on Blake Hunt into the back right-handed hairpin. That'll complete that move for the 4th position as they trail Talon Yockel and head up the hill towards the back chicane. So Yockel hanging on to P3. Robbie Bajoso, not the greatest start, down in that 6th position, trailing them a little bit. I believe that's Bajoso back there, and Yockel up in 3rd, and indeed. So Robbie Bajoso P6, Quinn 7th, Rule, Campbell, Hugh the top 10, and Vincenzo Saraceno starting to eat into that lead just a little bit up to Calvin Ming.
Yeah, just a little bit under 0.2 of a second separates your top 2 right now as Saraceno's trying to get the hammer down and go back around Calvin Ming, but try to make sure he can keep pace, and if they can pull away from Yockel and Conker to see if it can be a 2-horse race.
So they'll rocket onto the back stretch now. Talon Yockel, the big gap starting to form from 2nd back to 3rd. Not a good exit out of the red 171 hairpin for Talon Yockel. And Saraceno, on the other hand, big time run here through the back chicane. Yockel's got company from behind. So does Calvin Ming out front. So both of the Magic Karts with a rocket ship start. But here on lap number 2, heavy pressure coming for 1st and for 3rd as Josh Conker closes up, looks to the inside, coming out of the chicane. Not close enough yet, and you'll see Josh Conker aboard one of the rock shifter power plants. He loses a little bit of time when the KZs get into their power band, but he says he can keep up with them, make minimal mistakes, and try to pass where he can. They'll see that gap open back up again into turn number 2. But for Vincenzo Saraceno and Calvin Ming, a level playing field for both of them, both on the KZ-powered Pro Division. Josh Conker and Blake Hunt on the rock-powered machines, 4th and 5th. Up the hill, the red 171 hairpin. Conker had a look, couldn't get by. Yockel covered off the bottom side.
Great defensive driving by Yockel to hold off Josh Conker here as we go back up to the front of the field between Calvin Ming and Vincenzo Saraceno, who holds on. He set the fastest lap of the race, just barely over Calvin Ming. Both of them running almost identical with a 102.154 for Saraceno, who holds on in 2nd place.
And look at this here. Josh Conker's been able to get by Talon Yockel for 3rd. So he had a run on him going on that back straightaway. I think we just switched off and went to the battle for the lead, and that's where Conker was able to get by for P3. So Josh Conker up to the top 3 once again, chasing down Vincenzo Saraceno and Calvin Ming. Talon Yockel into 4th, just ahead of Blake Hunt, splits the 2 rock-powered machines, and as Robbie Bajoso looming back there from this 2nd group. Calvin Ming that time by, fastest on the racetrack at a 102 flat. Saraceno dropped a tire in the back sector of running right on his bumper and gave up by about 0.3 of a second by the end of the lap. As we exit turn number 6, Yockel's gap to Conker is opening. His gap back behind to Blake Hunt, shrinking. Blake Hunt looking for 4th. Not going to be able to do anything at the end of the back straightaway as Yockel pulls back out to a car length and a half away.
How about Bajoso, who's also getting involved in this battle for that 4th position as Conker starts to pull away just a little bit. Here comes Blake Hunt, shows the nose a little bit on Yockel, thinks better of it, can't quite make the pass, but he has Bajoso right there behind him, his teammate, as they try to work together to see if they can get around Yockel.
So Blake Hunt indeed able to get around Talon Yockel. He drops back to 5th and now goes right back to the front bumper of Robbie Bajoso, the two Magic Kart drivers, 5th and 6th. And Blake Hunt's Formula K for Brandon Jarstacrack Racing up a spot, but unfortunately the driver he was running with, and Josh Conker, has been able to pull away. Conker, purple that time by a 101.77 for the Maranello driver. 2/10 better than Vincenzo Saraceno, 4/10 better than race leader Calvin Ming. So Josh Conker on the move as the Rock and Pro Stars drivers head up the hill here. Robbie Bajoso closing in on Talon Yockel, and they'll work their way down the back straightaway. While they continue to sort themselves out on the racetrack here, little battle for the lead coming. Calvin Ming under heavy fire from Vincenzo Saraceno. For now, he's been able to keep him at bay. Let's go side by side with the audio. We'll send it over to Alexander Searle. He's caught up with Ben Hernandez, who, man, what a fantastic drive he had in KA Junior. Alex?
Hernandez, Ben, you started 19th in that race. You were up to 4th in the last lap until an incident. Talk me through what happened in that incident.
I mean, we drove a good race to get back through, and the incident hurt us. We got shoved and then got run over, but I mean, 19th to 13th is still a good drive. I mean, we'll get them back in the final.
Yeah, like you said, you still ended up recovering to 13th position. Unfortunately, you were up to 4th at one point. How good is that go-kart right now for you?
The go-kart is definitely on rails, and I know we have the pace to win this, so yeah.
Awesome, yeah. Any changes you want to make for the final? Obviously, you're up 15 spots last time. You started 13th. So, I mean, any changes you want to make to the kart?
I mean, I think we're good for now. Let's just do what we did in the pre-final, except go farther.
Obviously, love the confidence from Ben Hernandez. He's going to be starting P13 for the final. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Alex. Well, I mean, you take the spots that he gained, 19th up as high as into the top 5, and then back down to 13th with the contact. He'll be able to definitely get going, gets a little bit more time in the final to play with, as well as we see Josh Conker jump in the curbing here in the back sector. This time by, we are already past the halfway marker, and we're watching the Canadians start to hunt down the two leaders. Vincenzo Saraceno giving up some more time. That time by, another half-tenth lopped off for Conker to the lead. 9.5 tenths back. Saraceno is 3 tenths back. They've both got about a second to second and a half cushion back to Blake Hunt. Talon Yockel, another second back from him. Then to Robbie Bajoso there in 6th. So Conker and Saraceno trying to reel in the leaders. We got problems on the other end of the racetrack here. One driver off in the 427. That is Brendan Melke, who is at a mechanical failure aboard the iCart. That's gone. And as well, nice little battle near the end of the top 10 between Andy Rule and Ian Quinn. That is for 7th. Rule picked up the pace, was about a 10th of a second better than Quinn the previous time by. Here's the next battle up the road, battling for 5th. Robbie Bajoso having a look down the inside, doesn't fully go through with it on his teammate, Talon Yockel.
Yeah, those two teammates got to try to start working together because they have lost a ton of time on Blake Hunt right now. It's currently about 9/10 of a second. Probably a little bit more now as Blake Hunt has really stretched open that gap between him along with the two Magic Kart drivers as they work their way through. Blake Hunt now, once again, really setting the hammer down compared to his competitors. About 2 tenths faster than Talon Yockel last time around, but Conker starting to now fall off the pace as Vincenzo Saraceno now moves up with a very fast lap, a 102.11, very fast compared to our race leader, Calvin Ming.
Yeah, Vincenzo Saraceno, 2 tenths better than the race leader, 2 tenths better than third. Oh, we got more problems on the racetrack. That's a 223 of Eric Q aboard the CKR chassis. He has pounded the outside retaining wall here just ahead on the start light, and that's an awkward place. You'd have to imagine maybe the motor might have seized up on him there to brake where he did. Either way, though, Saraceno versus Ming. The gap's gotten a little bit bigger here this time to the back sector. So while Saraceno kind of closed back up, looks like maybe a little mistake or something amiss there for Saraceno this time by Calvin Ming's lead. Back up to 5 car lengths as they come down the front straightaway.
Great drive right here. How about, of course, Josh Conker now getting involved in the mix. He's now dropped it down to 2 tenths of a second between him and Saraceno for that battle for P2 now, and really dropped the hammer half a second faster than Saraceno last time by.
You can see Conker was on the limit, nearly had all 4 wheels locked up going into turn number 3. He's closing the gap, like you said. He was half a second better than Saraceno, 3 tenths better than Calvin Ming. Josh Conker is on the way, and for a little bit it looked like that pace had kind of subsided, but a great lap that time. Ming just trying to hang on here and balance it. It's only a car length to 2 car lengths back to Saraceno. Half a car length going into the right-handed hairpin. 3 minutes plus 2 laps to go, and there's the bumper. Saraceno gets into him as he checks up over the center of the curb, and they are nose to tail for the lead, the top 3. Calvin Ming leads your field to the back hairpins.
Calvin Ming being very dominant on this run, very defensive as well, trying to keep back those 2 hard charges of Saraceno and Conquer as they come through the final corner. 2.5 minutes on the clock. Has a big off right there for Saraceno. Opens the door for Conquer to take over second.
Major mistake from Vincenzo Saraceno. Got right behind Calvin Ming. We talk about aero wash in the Formula race cars and the big cars, but for the shifter cars and for especially some of the 125cc power plants, you do get just a little bit of understeer in the modern go-karts with all the bodywork they have on when you run right up behind someone. Saraceno, that was the closest he'd been behind Calvin Ming at the fastest part of the racetrack all race long, and it looked like he just kind of lost the front end and it washed out on him to the outside grass. And again, like you said, a 4 tire off, got dirt on the tires for the next part of this lap. He'll be out of contention, and the weight now transfers to Josh Conquer, who has slowly, methodically cut his way up the grid to second now, 2 car lengths back from the race lead.
I've seen Josh Conquer personally racing in these kart racing series all across the country, both here as well as in competing in virtual events. Definitely one who's slow and methodical, but knows how to put the pressure on competitors. Big slide right there by Ming out of the final corner.
Yeah, Calvin Ming, when we talked to him yesterday, I asked him, I was curious, this is the first time we've seen gearbox action here at NJMP in a long time. Why are we seeing all these guys drop tires coming out of the final turn? He said, Xander, it is so close to being able to get that thing flat out at 75 to 80 miles an hour. It's just on the limit. Most of the time you have to lift. Every once in a while you get gutsy and you think you can do it flat and you pull it off the next lap, you can't. And right there, he was right on the limit. The tire dropped off the side of the racetrack, didn't kick up any dust, didn't go 4 wheels off like Vincenzo did, but he was on the edge, dancing with disaster right there for Calvin Ming. A half car length back to Josh Conquer as they exit the left-handed hairpin. He'll pull right to the bumper here this time by. It will get the 3 to go signal. They'll get in just under the time limit before they get the 2 laps added. So 3 laps to go this time around. Josh Conquer, half a car length away, going through the fastest part of the racetrack now. Here they come. Does anyone make a mistake? Conquer's right there on the bumper. Turn 1, turn 2, not close enough.
Great racing action here as Conquer looks to go to the inside, thinks better of it, can't quite make a move. Heading down over to turn 2 and 3, it's going to be Conquer and Ming. Ming definitely trying to find the hole and make sure he can stay ahead of Josh Conquer as they shift up the gears through turns 4 and 5, heading up to the top of the hill of turn 6. Down into the braking zone though, down a gear once again before they head down the hill once here, heading through the S's. Now down the back straightaway, it's time to drop the hammer once again here in these closing stages.
So Josh Conquer, a car length back here from Calvin Ming, closes up over the curbing. Again, he's got just a difference in horsepower, so difference in power than the power band as well. The overall trend of where he will be quicker, where he will be slower is more in the favor of the KZs. As you can see, he's got some great power right off the corner. When they get to the higher speed sections is where he loses just a little bit. The toe is helping him out right now for sure as he trails Ming coming to the line this time. Look at Saraceno in the blacked out VTM Racing Engines Magic Kart. He's only 4 car lengths back to start the 2 to go signal.
2 laps to go here at New Jersey as they work their way through. Saraceno has now caught up to Conquer. He'll look to the inside and work their way through turns 2 and 3. He tries to find the opening. No hole open for Saraceno as they go up through turn number 5, back up the hill through turn 6.
Yeah, great little bit of defensive driving from Josh Conquer. He hangs on to that second spot. Opens that gap back up to 4 car lengths and goes back to chasing Calvin Ming. I think he might have missed a shift Conquer did out of turn number 2 or something to kind of halt the momentum because he was making such great consistent laps, mistake-free laps at that for the last 4 to 5 circuits here at NJMP. But that time there just kind of got caught out a little bit. Through the back area, out of the left-handed hairpin, the long sweeping set of left, right, and left over the curbing, then the last chicane, and into the dog leg that leads them onto the front straightaway. White flag in the air this time by Calvin Ming. 1 lap away here from another race victory. He's undefeated in race sessions so far this weekend. A Heat 1 winner looking to claim the pre-final, put himself to the pole for the main. This will help a little bit as Conker goes low into turn number 3.
Josh Conker trying to find anything and anywhere to get that run he needs to get around Calvin Ming for the pre-final win. Up to the top of the hill of turn number 6. Ming gets a great run up to the top. Conker sends it in deep. Saraceno trying to find the opening. He needs to move back up to P2.
Josh Conker just going low again there, turn 6, defending from Saraceno. Low a little bit on the back straightaway. That'll sacrifice the exit just ever so slightly. Great run coming through, but he won't be close enough here. He looks, but just I think was more so keeping the protection on behind because he knows Saraceno is right there and has been a little bit quicker than the 2 leaders the last couple laps. So Conker doing a smart job, going low, protecting his position. He's got a front row starting spot so long as he doesn't mess it up in the final stages. This time through the dog leg, full throttle, 75 miles an hour. Give the pre-final win to Calvin Ming. Josh Conker second, Vincenzo Saraceno third, Robbie Bajoso way wide there. He jumps it over the berm. Fourth for Bajoso, fifth for Talagnaco. Blake Hunt got going early, faded heavily there at the end to sixth. Annie Rule in seventh. Ian Quinn will round off in eighth. Robbie Campbell, Eric Hugh, and Brennan Mielke will round off the field here with a couple DNFs. We got some track cleanup to do. More importantly, we got to give our hardworking team for the Stars Championship Series, our awesome camera operators, and the NJMP track officials some time for a little bit of a lunch break. We'll come back in about 30 minutes, currently tentatively set to go back green around 12:15 to 12:20 with the 206 Stars main event. So we'll be right back with the main event stream. This concludes our free coverage of the Stars Championship Series stop here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. If you would like to watch the main events, make sure to go to youtube.com/kartchaser/join. Become a KC Premium member at $9.99 a month, and you'll get full coverage of the main events coming this afternoon.